Right. And we're back. 1 second. I was going to put it up, but first of all, let's start off with happy Monday, everybody. What's up? I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime, and we're back. I hope you guys have been waiting for me because I've been seeing the news this weekend, and it's off the chain. They're just everywhere coming from a direction. Now, I had to cover Nancy Guthrie's case update today because no suspects, families cleared. Is this now a body recovery? That and everything else that happened this weekend and up until today, guys, it's got to be talked about. You know it does. This case is one of those that just absorbs you every day, even when you're trying to, and I should say, when I'm trying to cover other cases and get them together, this one just keeps nagging at me. So, happy Monday. Today we are covering the Nancy Guthrie case. I got a lot of important information that I want to talk to y'all about. And then hopefully if things slow down a bit, then tomorrow I'll come back on either a new case or an update. But right now, let me say hello to Indy Isha, my girl. How are you doing? Mama Sage? Mama Sage is in the house. Let's hope that we get a smooth video today. How are you all doing? Everybody have a good weekend? Are you guys caught up on the case? Are there cases that you want me to? What's up, everybody? How you doing? How is everybody doing today? I hope everybody says, I'm doing great, Jay. Or if it's your birthday, let me know. We'll do a shout out for your birthday, somebody else's birthday, whatever it is. You know, we're here for the long haul today. Well, almost every day now, man. These things have gotten longer, haven't they? Hey, Teresa or Teresa, Janet, how you doing? Nana Rocks. Thank you for being here, Kel and Foxy Amazon. Synth is going to be a little bit late, but I think my goal may be up there. The goal's up now. I don't like to bug you guys the whole show and remind you, right? So come on in, guys. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, get a membership if you can, especially if you can. If you get a membership or gift a membership, that helps so much. Mama Sage just came in with the first super sticker. Thank you so very much. All right, guys. We have a lot of reporting to do today, and I'm going to do my best to be as comprehensive with you. Also, when you walk away, you understand exactly what's happening in this case. Lolo, hello, and Sadie's mama, much love to you always. True crime. Sorry, Kathy, how are you doing? I really wish I could talk to you on the same time zone, my friend. I want to help you get your channel rocking and rolling, but it's hard. We're gonna have to come up with the time, okay? Because every time you email me, by the time I get back to you, I feel like it's no use. But I can certainly help. What is up, Sander? How you doing? And everybody else, guys. By the way, whose birthday is it? Happy birthday to who? Happy birthday to who? Happy birthday to who? I don't know whose birthday. I need to keep up with the Nancy case. I'm glad you do because I've absorbed that Nancy Guthrie case, and guys, I can't let it go. Happy belated birthday, Jennifer. Well, happy birthday, Jennifer. Happy belated birthday. What's the sign right now? What season are we in? I don't really have any friends that have many birthdays, so just trying to figure out what the sign is right now. All right, guys, we had a lot today. We have a lot, but we also don't have a lot. How can I explain it? Thank you, Kristen. I do appreciate that. How do I explain we have a lot without having a lot? Okay. We're 51 days in. Nancy Guthrie's still missing. Sheriff Nanos is, in my opinion, a piece of garbage that botched this case from day one. And I think that he may have botched it so much that we may never recover her body. Now, maybe we'll catch who did it by coincidental DNA, or maybe that house, the cleared house, or maybe the one or 5 or 6 or however many people that they've targeted and gave emergency warrants to. But guys, that's just a hope and a prayer. This is one of the biggest cases that I've ever seen in my entire life besides John Benet Ramsey and a few others. And we can't solve it. We don't have a suspect and we don't have official arrest about anything. It just doesn't make sense to me. And happy birthday, Jennifer. Everybody's shouting you out, girl. Everybody's saying what's up. Clementine, good to see you. All right. So, I'm going to start off with this because this is the bottom line. Nanos messed up. That's going around. A lot of people are talking about how he messed up and get him out of office. But guys, that's not going to happen for a while. We need 120,000 signatures in a certain amount of short time, and they can't just take him off of the case. They've got to brief, what he's doing. He's got to brief to and hand over things to the FBI rather than hiding them. So first we're going to start off with, it's Aries. Okay. Woo for Aries. Cynthia, how you doing? Mama Pearl says hello to everybody. Karen, how you doing? Maggie says, Jennifer, God bless you with health, wealth, and prosperity. Guys, 420 membership coming up. Don't forget. And Deb's in the house says, hello, Pearl. Okay, Sheriff should not have stopped the search for Nancy and should still be searching. Well, I think they should have just brought in as many people as they could. I don't care if it's Cajun Navy or people with vests on. They should have gone boots on the ground to look for her. That's one of the things we're missing. Another thing that we're missing is, transparency. So let's just take a look at this real quick. This happened on Friday. That I was going over the case with you. Under fire, Nancy Guthrie, sheriff takes more trips to the gym in his convertible than work visits. A case grinds to a halt. Okay, this came out on Friday the 18th. I had talked to you, and I'm sure you guys saw this by now. Arizona sheriff who failed to find Savannah Guthrie's missing mom has been spending more days pumping iron at the gym than at his desk. The Post can exclusively reveal. Now, Chris Nanos, or Barney Fife, the embattled chief lawman of Pima County, leading the hunt, he's actually leading it for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, was spotted at his office in Tucson just twice for a leisurely 7 hours a day between Friday and Tuesday in the past week. Meanwhile, has been missing 46 days, with Nanos and his deputies having yet to identify a suspect or otherwise meaningful lead in this elusive disappearance. And don't think we're not going to talk about his incompetencies today and what he probably messed up, because we are. When you look at that in total, the hours he's worked this case and the BS that he's spewing, it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. All right. That's wild that they're getting pictures of him out of the gym in his sports car, but he's not working the case. And he's given us lots of misinformation, in my opinion. Now, that was him out there going to the gym on the 13th. The 70-year-old Democrat who at first charmed America, that's Nanos, with his tearful pleas for help, only to begin to contradict himself through public interviews. Now, the case began to languish, he hit the gym 4 times during a 5-day period. That's what the Post learned. All right. He has been seen cruising out of his 850,000 manse in a gated Mansi. I'm not trying to say that, Monsi, in a gated community on the outskirts of Tucson in his flashy, newer model Corvette Stingray, white with the same color as his hair, for roughly 90-minute workouts. That's bad. That's bad when they're investigating him to that point, guys. All right. They're literally counting the days that she's been missing and what he's out there doing. All right. FBI probably on it, not telling Nanos. Well, here's the thing is FBI can't just do whatever they want either. They have to correlate the evidence that's been collected by Pima County because they're leading the case. All right. So, I mean, we already know he's a big bum, but criticism is ramping up as the case gets colder, is what they say. The floundering Democrat has been under the microscope for his handling, I'd say mishandling of this case. Right? He's also been panned for releasing Nancy's Catalina foothill home as a crime scene too quickly in the early days. We're going to talk about all the mishaps that he's done to mess this thing up. So, he's facing a recall, and we know why. He's an embarrassment to the county. And, all he said was, hey, investigators are definitely closer, but he's giving us misinformation. He's telling us that the community's safe, and then on the other hand, they're not. It's targeted, and then it's not. It's targeted, but maybe it's random. How do you not talk about a house that's abandoned could have been the central hub? Now, I just wanted you to see him in his car. There he goes. Instead of working, this guy's going to the gym in that car for more hours a day than he is working the case. I have not heard from Clara. I will definitely reach out to her after. I've been very busy as well. What is up, Patriot Pride official? Come on in, hit that like button, subscribe. Also, Patriot has a channel. Go ahead and drop your link if you'd like to drop your link, or one of the mods could do that for you. That's Mabster's buddy. All right, so look at this. Nanos is taking his foot off the gas. A source close to the Guthrie family said Savannah and her brother and sister are still working with investigators, even as it appears Nanos has taken his foot off the gas. No pun intended, but pun intended. So he was a no-show last Friday, and he left his house over the weekend to head to the gym. Earlier that week, he arrived at the office about 20 miles south of his sprawling home just after 9 a.m. and left by 4 p.m., taking off in his $70,000 convertible or his other car, a Ford Explorer. How does one make $70,000? How does one buy a $70,000 Corvette, a Ford Explorer, and quite the house, I ask you? Now, here's the biggest problem is he's giving mixed messages in the media that can cause a ton of harm. Okay? Since her disappearance, he's given the interview after interview, often confusing or contradicting the information. The sheriff chooses to deal with the media in a bit haphazard way, Pima County Betsy Brander says. Normally in a case like this, you would see regular press conferences, and it would be the sheriff or designated person, usually a public information officer. That he is not. Now, when speculation ramped up about Savannah's brother-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, was potentially a prime suspect, Nanos refused to rule him out. Then Nanos was forced to publicly clear the entire family more than a week later. Savannah is said to be livid over the false claims that have served as a distraction from the case. Is it a distraction or is it a red herring? Last month, after the images of the kidnapping came out, Nanos ominously suggested that she could have been kidnapped by revenge or something. He didn't elaborate. And just last week, he claimed he knew, and this is pissing everybody off, that he knew why the suspect targeted Nancy, yet he's not going to tell us, warning that the abductor could absolutely strike again. I mean, this guy is garbage. I hope that they check his finances, and he not only gets put out of office, but they check what he's doing with that money, guys. Because I gotta tell you, I don't know how this officer could have a $70,000 car, 2 of them, and a big old house when he doesn't even do his job right in the first place. All right, I don't know what's going on. Remember, I asked if y'all think he's involved. No, I do not think Nanos is involved directly at all. I think he's involved in botching the case and people paying him, so to speak, to say what they want him to say. He knows Savannah has money, and what Savannah says goes. So he said, I'm going to clear the family. I don't want her pissed off at me. She contributes this much a year. We don't really know. I'm just speculating, guys. Money talks, right? Bullshit walks and money talks. What makes the most sense that crime was a homicide from day one, right? Who's to gain from an 84-year-old woman not being alive? Exactly. All right, so let's just quickly look at this and we'll get into it. Timeline of the disappearance, right? January 31st, Nancy goes to her family's home for a visit to have dinner at 5:32 p.m. And I wish we had cameras to collaborate this story. These might not work. If they don't, then we're good. All right, her garage door opens at 9:48, and then by 9:50 it closes, and cops believe that this is when she returned home. Now I'm going to tell you, I believe that there was also another person already in the house, guys, and maybe a third person in the car. All right, that's where I'm going with this. We got the blood drops February 1st, doorbell camera disconnects 1:47 a.m. All right. And then I don't know what's up with these pictures. We know software detected, it loops. Now we're getting a third date. We got a second date. Now we have a third date, which we're going to talk about. So, what do we do with that second date? Like I said, misinformation, pacemaker disconnects. That could be anything. Family checks on Nancy, 11:56 a.m. And well, we know the rest of the deal. 12:03, 911 comes, and we haven't seen her for what? Are we on day 52? Nancy says day 51. All right. Nanos has also been forced to address the concerns that he wasn't playing nice with FBI after sending the evidence that could have been put out sooner to his lab in Florida rather than Quantico, which would have done it much faster. All right. Now, the DNA recovered from Nancy's home does not match her family members or people that worked in her home. We suspect, because we don't even know what people worked at her home because they weren't looking. All right, guys. You know, there is a absolute, and I'm going to get into that, Deb. Someone who wants inheritance, but they don't find the body will make it long enough. Now, listen, I've said this since day one, and I was listening to all over the weekend. I was listening to the coverage, and they had the exact same theory about the power of attorney, whether you have a power of attorney or not. Well, first of all, we need to bring Nancy Guthrie home. Second of all, this is part of the people that I believe. And thirdly, if they don't find her soon and the evidence is scattered and they can't find anything, well, guess what happens? Something's going to have to happen to the house. Either someone's going to have to go in there and take care of it and her finances, or what? And who are the people that are taking care of her and are the closest? Who will be, whether there's a piece of paper, you guys tell me what two people are going to profit the most from her being gone. All right. Now let's continue. That's all I'm going to say about that, because there's a lot to get into today. There's a new statement, obviously, and sheriff's back out there asking for investigators footage from January 11th. All right, so let's take a look at this so we can also see what they pled. And up to the Today Show, Sheriff, I don't even care about Sheriff Barney Fife. They're asking for January 11th footage. This came out today, this morning. Guthrie family pleads for renewed attention. Someone knows something. I was going to play this anyway, and now we're going to play it here. Hopefully there's no ad.
Has information that they do not even realize is significant. We hope people search their memories, especially around the key timelines of January 31st and the early morning hours of February 1st, as well as the late evening of January 11th. No detail is too small. It may be the key. Up until now, authorities have not said why investigators have been looking for footage from January 11th, but new this morning, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos tells NBC News it's because Google initially told investigators that this surveillance image they retrieved from Nancy's Nest camera of a man at her front door was believed to be from that date. But Nanos says Google...
Yeah, and that's how messed up this is. We're getting into 52 days, and they can't give us an accurate timeline. They can't give us accuracy and saying, hey, we did do a bunch of emergency search warrants, which obviously tells us that there are more than 1, 2, or even 3 people that they think are connected to this case. But instead, they give us these wonky dates that don't match and then start asking for others. Now, when you say, is Sheriff Nanos involved in this? He's involved in a way, and he's botched it. Absolutely. All right, let's continue. This is brand new, just came out, and it's the family pleading for renewed hope, searches, etc. And, well, we know the written note, which I'm going to tell you, I'm going to break that down, what I think some of that means.
Well, later took that back, telling them they could not definitively peg the photo to that day. Neither the FBI nor Google have commented on this timeline. Over the weekend, our NBC affiliate, KVOA News 4 Tucson, aired a moving special about the case, including new details on the impact Nancy's had in their community. Former University of Arizona professor Jacqueline Sharkey says Nancy played a pivotal role in helping save the university's Poison and Drug Information Center, which nearly closed due to budget cuts. She says Nancy helped gather 20,000 signatures sent to the governor.
Thousands of Arizonans have benefited from the Poison Center in the 30 years since Nancy had a major role in leading it.
Nancy's impact reflected in the outpouring of love across the city.
Our hearts are in it, and she's always on her mind.
In that special, the Guthries sharing their ongoing heartache, saying, "We miss our mom with every breath. We want to celebrate her beautiful and courageous life, but we cannot do that until she is."
And now that this is coming out, guys, more and more people are coming forward and talking about other similar crimes. Now, they also, law enforcement, or I should say, Sheriff Barney Fife, keeps changing his story, which I've never heard in my life. It's this, but no, it's this. It says, I just can't. Yes, Cheeky, 100% botched. None of it makes sense. I think the body has proof of evidence. Someone can't let be found. No money, no robbery, no motive, no body. Yeah, this was not a kidnapping case, in my opinion, but I do believe it's a body recovery case at this point. What's up, Mr. Mabster? All right, let's hear about the family. And we got so much to get into today, guys.
Brought to a final place of rest.
And also in that statement, the family is asking people in the area to again consult their camera footage, their journal notes, text messages, any observations or conversations that in retrospect may hold significance. And guys, they reiterated their sole focus is on finding Nancy and bringing her home.
All right, Liz Kreutz for us there. Liz, thank you so much.
Let's bring in Tom Winter, NBC's national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent. Tom, of course, has followed this case from the very beginning. First of all, hard to believe it has been.
Yeah, I just want to hear what he has to say about this case in particular. I'm so not excited about all of these experts that are talking that aren't involved in the case, and it's not even affecting the case. Exactly, Jay. Investigate his finances, paid to turn his head. Exactly. Something's going on, guys, with that guy. Something is going on. I'm telling you right now. Please touch that like button. What's up, Retha Bell? How you doing, my friend? Hit that like button, subscribe, and thank Foxy Amazon if you received the membership for her brother. You put that up there earlier. I just want to see what he has to say real quick, but I have a lot to share with you guys.
More than 7 weeks now. Are authorities any closer, Tom, any closer to solving this case? And do we even know what they're focusing on right now?
Well, yes and no. And the reason why I say yes is because they've had a lot of opportunity here to run down leads. And we knew that they were going to go after a whole group of people that had bought that backpack or maybe bought that vest and bought it from Walmart. You can go through, did somebody pay cash? It might take a little while longer to figure out who that person is. So you've now exhausted a lot of those leads. You can rule a lot of things out. Of course, that pivots to the no part of the conversation, which is that it doesn't appear that at the moment, and based on the fact that the Guthrie family continues to call for somebody from the Tucson area to pick up the phone and make that call, there's $1 million reward in this case. They're hoping that's a game changer for somebody who maybe has a significant other or a spouse that they think could be jammed up in this, that $1 million gets them out of that situation, allows them to pick up the phone and make that call today. That's really where we're at, is that now you're starting to scrounge around for additional leads here. And again, hoping for those phone calls.
Savannah and her family were asking people to look at videos, et cetera, from Ring cameras or just recollection of what happened the night that Nancy went missing. But also, I thought this was very interesting, asking about that date, January 11th. That seemed different from what we've heard before.
Yeah, so the reason why apparently this popped up is that because when Google, remember, they went back onto servers to try to find fragments of video.
And I mean, I don't understand why they're giving us dates. Like, we're going to talk about the dates. So I don't want to listen to Tom Winter's correspondent slowly just talking about indirect pieces of the puzzle. All right. I just wanted you to know the family pled, why they did that. I'll break it a little bit down for you. And this is up to date right here. They're asking for new footage. It's March 23rd, 2026. Day 52, and it seems like we're back at square one. Not good, guys, not good. Now let me just show you the plea, what it means. We're going to talk about the signs, what the signs mean, and the downfall of Sheriff Nanos, what he did to mess this up. All right, so just quickly, here's the statement straight from Savannah Guthrie's page. All right, I always just go right to her Instagram. You can see her plea. She pins that. Everything about the last post are regarding her mom. Okay, anything and everything is about her mom. Statement from the Guthries: we're deeply grateful for the outpouring from neighbors, friends, and people of Tucson. We are all family now. All right. Here she says, someone knows something, bring her home, call 800, call FBI. All right. Lastly, we continue to believe it's Tucsonians, people that live in Tucson, and the greater Southern Arizona community that hold the key to finding resolution in this case. Someone knows something. It's possible a member of this community has information they do not even realize is significant. We hope people search their memories, especially around the key timelines of January 31st and the early mornings of now, February 1st, as well as the late evening of January 11th. All right. We desperately are asking the community for renewed attention to our mom's case. Please consult camera footage, journal notes, text messages, observations, or conversations in retrospect may hold significant. No detail is too small, and it may be the key. Now I'm going to pull this down and quickly show you what I'm going to put this up for a second. How's everybody doing? Saucy Skin CBD, good to see you. Happy Monday. I don't know why I just froze. I completely just saw myself freezing up. All right, hold on. I had it and I did a total I did a total rookie move. I was going to show you about what Brian Etten thinks this means. There's a lot of good information on X right now, guys. All right, so check this out. This is Brian Etten, and this was our true crime believer at Brian Etten talks about what stood out in the family message. I just wanted to show you that real quickly. It's quick.
When she says we continue, or when they say, the family says, we continue to believe it is Tucsonians, or they say Tucsonans. It's the first time I've heard that phrase before. Tucsonans and the greater Southern Arizona community that hold the key to finding resolution in this case. I found that to be very interesting because it is something that I have heard over and over again, never from the Guthrie family, but from sources that I have within law enforcement and also law enforcement experts that I've interviewed on the show several times. And that is that there is this belief that whoever did this is from the Tucson area, could even be from that neighborhood, but is from somewhere in the Tucson area. And since the beginning, that has been a theory that I have heard over and over again, that it could be a local, that there are local people.
I mean, I don't know why on day 52, this is coming out. Like, this is a brand new note. Day 52, they're Tucsonian or Tucsonan, whatever you want to call it. They're from Tucson. Yeah, didn't we already think that? Machiavelli says Luke's right arm is tattooed up to the wrist. And boy, did we look at that. We've looked and we've looked and we've looked. There's people just I can't get out of my head that are involved in this case, and it keeps coming back to them.
People who know what happened. And remember the first two raids that we saw, which at this point.
Okay, I don't know why I cut off, but you guys know the very first two raids were people that were right around in the area. One was a traffic stop. All right. So one was a traffic stop, and the other one was I don't know if the traffic
stop. She says we continue, or when they say, the family
was the same traffic stop as the guy with his 71-year-old mom that completely sounds like she's lying for him. All right. So I've never heard Tucsonans either, but I just wanted to let you guys know about what that kind of meant. And then also, guys, did you realize about the signs, which we're going to get into more later, but did anyone see these signs that have some weird ass meaning to them? Did you guys see this? There's different signs that go up that are coming up, and I'll show you more. But the reason I brought this one up is because of the analysis on it. All right. The analysis that the that it was left at the Guthrie house. Has anyone heard anything about this? Let me know. This has to be a ransom gone wrong. I don't think it's a ransom gone wrong, Becky. What's up, Shadow? Good to see you, Cheeky. Can you hear me? Hello, Rebecca. That's Rebecca Michello. There's her little grandson, Corey Michello. Say a prayer that they get the justice he deserves, they deserve. Much love to you, Rebecca. If you want to drop your link in chat, feel free to do so. All right. Now, you guys saw these, right? Did you guys see these? We're going to get into more later, but they've got this weird, the way it's written. They've got these words. What the hell does this mean? Who are these names? What does that mean? What is it broken down to? Has anyone been looking at that? Now, I just want you guys to quickly hear the analysis from Ange. She's posting this. She says it's explicitly names. It's two women, Nancy Guthrie and Carol Shimmick, along with a specific Arizona license plate. It then points a finger at a named officials and their agencies, guys. Yavapai, I don't know how to say that, county sheriffs under Sheriff David Rhodes, someone named Lemons or Lemons that's tied to state fire, likely a state fire investigator or official, and Chair Connolly's. That's a reference to a county board chair or supervisor. Now, the money symbol appears to be sloppy shorthand for and a pointed jab implying money and corruption. You guys hear what's happening here? Maybe Sheriff Nanos is more involved than we think. Now, the emotional state of somebody writing this, and there are multiple signs, by the way. This isn't a calm, factual notice. Red ink and yellow paper is a classic danger, anger signaling. Okay. Now, the oversized, aggressive lettering implies frustration and urgency. The maker is personally furious and wants to shout it out to the public. Now, skill level and mindset. Handwriting is unsteady, inconsistent, and full of errors. No ruler, no printing, no computer, just whatever they had on hand. Now, this points to an amateur, possibly an older adult, writing in haste under high emotion rather than planning it out. Just like this case of Nancy Guthrie. Now, the intent and personality is somebody who distrusts officials and has taken matters into their own hands. They're trying to connect the dots, shame authorities, and rally the community. Guys, did you know that the license plate I read earlier came back to a white vehicle in the Tucson area? The license plate suggests they either documented a vehicle or are identifying one tied to people they're accusing. And guys, it does go back to a white vehicle, a white SUV. All right. And I'm glad you guys are here. I hope that you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. Sorry if I'm glitchy. If it gets too bad, mods, text me. Saucy Skin CBD's our girl. Saucy Skin CBD does this stuff, the Go Genetics. And we love the Go Genetics that she does. So thank you. All right. Let's continue. Did you even know any of this stuff? Did anybody break this down yet? Have any of y'all seen this? Because we're going to get further into it. But guys, when you look at this sign and you see all the stuff going on, it means something. And so does the second one. All right. So listen, license plate number did go back to a vehicle. They're accusing somebody. And Carol June Shimmick is 74 years old and deceased. Her death has been called a poisoning murder by her boyfriend and others. Now, listen, she's an activist who blocked water metering in her town. The maker is likely somebody tied to Carol Shimmick's story, most likely her boyfriend, based on public accusations he's made about her death. They're convinced that both women, guys, were targeted for activism or other reasons, and that the officials across the agencies of I don't know how to say that, Sheriff Rhodes, state fire personnel, and other local chair are complicit in this case. The sign exposes a deeply distrustful, emotional, raw individual, likely grieving, possibly elderly, and operating on conspiracy-driven conviction. Now, they're not a polished organizer or troll. They're a regular person who snapped. The sloppiness and boldness indicate somebody passionate but isolated in their theory. Have any of you guys heard of any of that? I'm just curious if any of y'all have heard any of that stuff. Also, new faces, all right? How's everybody doing? Psychic says 3 people, white van. It came back to a white SUV, by the way, guys, all right? And I hope you guys, I hope you're learning new information today, because what I got next, quickly, is Jennifer Coffendorfer that did her due diligence. What she did was she took a hard look at all the registered RSOs within 3 miles. She says nobody fit the profile as they preyed on minors and were either too tall or too short. But she says that's a lot. There's 46 offenders near Nancy's home. That is a lot. We just don't know what happened inside that house, guys, for at least 41 minutes or more. I now believe also, guys, that somebody was already in the house prior to that. All right. So these are some of the people that were dug up. And I hope that I'm teaching you guys something today that you didn't know. All right. Deanna Silva, thank you so much for the $2 super sticker. I could use that. Thank you. I don't think so, Clementine. I don't think so. All right, so these are some of the people that Jennifer Coffendorfer either last night or this morning found from that 46 people list of registered SOs. And she even names them. She names them, puts a face on them, all that. All right, all that. They're all in her area, Nancy Guthrie. There's a lot to look at. Why weren't we looking at this before? Why is she having to do this? It just doesn't make sense, right? And then this is the sign. If you guys didn't see it, there was a front and a back. Ultimately, it got collected. Look at this. Look what they did there. Ultimately, the signs got connected. I'll find the footage after of them taking the stuff away. They're removing it. Hold on. Is this one it? New evidence collected? Oh, there it is. Yeah, let me do that. Yeah, I don't know. Look at this is Zach. I never thought it was Zach, but I'm just giving you guys information that I'm finding. Now, Moonlight Runner says 2016. There's also a plate from Texas, a Chrysler. Oh, okay. All right. So, I mean, let me show you. They collected this information now. I'm going to pull this other stuff down so we can start getting into it, because you know me, I'm like, I've got ADHD and I'm all over the place, but I try to keep it focused. All right. So listen, this is the update on this. Pima County detectives were seen collecting the potential evidence in the Catalina foothills where about Nancy Guthrie disappeared or vanished on February 1st. Evidence collection, detectives removed several signs that appeared recently in the neighborhood. These signs reportedly contain multiple names and license plate number. Now, a disturbing connection. One of the names found on the signs is reportedly linked to a woman who was murdered in the Tucson area recently. And there's the footage of them collecting it. I'm going to play that for you just in case you missed it this weekend. I don't know if there's no volume. So, all right. Indy Isham's in the house, and I never heard any of this. Well, isn't that why you come here to Guilty of Crime? All right. I appreciate you, love. Thank you so much. Laura says, I've heard more info from you in a short time than I have from people sitting at Nancy's house. Dear Lord, we're in trouble. We're already 40 minutes into this episode, and this is my introduction, man. Talk about that. Thank you. Joanne says, no one breaks it down like you, girl. Well, I appreciate you. And Emily's been a member for 15 months. Let's go. Thank you. All right. You're going to feed the reptiles and listen. We have 285 people. It would be awesome if y'all would hit that like button for me. All right. Now we're going to get into this. Now, this was my number one theory. And I still believe what I believe. I still believe the connections that I believe. And I still believe what's her name? I'm looking right at her. Ashley Banfield. I still believe what she said 110%. I believe that, but there's something connected to that. Well, Coffin Duffer's on everything everywhere, so I'm gonna have to. I agree to disagree. I've also had Coffin Duffer on my channel, and so I'm a Coff fan. But hey, we all can like who we like, and we could not like who we don't like. Let's listen up here. This just came out, Deception Detective, and I thought it was really important for you guys to hear this side because I 100% jive with this and what she initially said and how it's all coming together or not coming together.
Extraordinary source inside that group of folks that was working on that investigation. And they entirely had their focus towards the brother-in-law, whether it's right or wrong. By the way, I have taken so much shit online for people saying it's my theory. Not my theory. I actually have a different idea of what I think happened, and it is not that. What I'm reporting on is what I heard there.
Right. And this is all new, guys. This is all new. I'm not taking you back to the weekend. It's all today. Mab says, don't miss my live. I have the perp wanted poster sub up. Peace, the Mabster. Thank you, Mab, for the $4.99. We'll be giving that back and forth to each other on our channels. All right. Yeah. And that's all good. If you don't like Coff, you don't have to. You don't have to like whoever you don't want. We don't have to agree with who we like. We just have to agree to get along. Right. Okay. Let's go.
Theory was they did all sorts of things on day 1, 2, and 3 that indicated they thought it was someone within the Guthrie family.
Ironically, this update may do the best job of explaining why Nancy Guthrie still hasn't been found. And no, it's not because Ashley Banfield has cracked the case. It's actually because she's displaying the same sort of self-delusion as Sheriff Nanos. So in today's video, let's break it down because once you know what to look for, you'll start seeing it everywhere in this investigation, from Ashley Banfield to Sheriff Nanos to Savannah Guthrie herself. I'm Deception Detective.
And listen, it started out that way, and yet, according to us, right, we are just the public. According to us, we know nothing about anything right now. We might as well say day 1 instead of day 51 or 52, because that's how much we know. Nothing. All right. Yes, nobody throws punches. We all love our noses here. And boop. I say that. I boop you in the nose. I don't punch you in the nose, but I might boop you. Oh, and there's your eye candy for the ladies. All right, Mr. Deception Detective.
Attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation. So if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For early access to new videos, over 60 exclusive videos, and other cool perks, consider becoming a channel member. Link in description. As I said in the intro, I think self-delusion, specifically cognitive dissonance, is the main reason this case hasn't been solved yet. But just in case you haven't seen my earlier videos in this series or that logic doesn't quite make sense yet, don't worry, I'll explain everything in a minute once we get into this update, because I think it might make more sense if I start off by showing you an example of cognitive dissonance in real time. Here's a clip of Ashley Banfield talking about a different unsolved abduction case where the police cleared the family.
This is perfect. I hope everyone knows what cognitive dissonance, can't even say it right now. Cognitive dissonance. I hope you guys know what that is. Does everybody know? Because it's a mental discomfort that you feel when your beliefs, values, or self-image is conflicted with your actions or with new information, right? This tension pushes you to reduce the conflict, often by changing your beliefs and justifying your behavior or avoiding contradictory information. So that would be like, for instance, if I was to say to you guys, okay, so at the very beginning, I told you that it was Tommaso and Annie, and now I'm stuck to that no matter what anybody tells me. All right, that's not what's happening in this case. I mean, it is what's happening in a slight bit, but you'll see.
Just like the Guthries.
But it's absolutely happened in the JonBenet Ramsey case, and that's where I feel like this case may be headed if we don't do something fast.
See if you can spot the self-delusion.
John, I'm not going to lie. I was so disheartened to see how many people out there still believe you had something to do with it, despite the fact, and let me repeat this loud and clear, that the Boulder police and everybody else involved in investigating the murder of your daughter, they have cleared you over and over and over again. And they've gone so far as to apologize for having left you under that umbrella of suspicion for so long, to the point where Patsy died before she was cleared from that umbrella of suspicion. So for anybody watching, if you're one of the commenters, do your research before you make such painful comments about John and his family.
Ashley Banfield did that interview with John Ramsey just weeks before she publicly accused Tommaso Cioni of being the prime suspect in his mother-in-law Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping, which is why I think it's such a perfect example of cognitive dissonance, because cognitive dissonance at its core is the lies we tell ourselves in order to protect our self-esteem and our worldview. And
No, we really should not do that. But if anybody has that, I've been saying it since day one. It's Sheriff Nanos. Okay, it's Barney Fife. He cannot get past his ego enough to say, we went in this direction. I was incorrect. I should have brought FBI in the first stages, but he can't do it. He can't do it. And a lot of creators can't do it. A lot of creators will know for a fact that it's a lie, and they still stand on it, even with the evidence, because their fragile little egos can't handle the fact, and they can't say, hey guys, I apologize. I was following where the case went. That was my belief then. With the new evidence, I now believe this. It's okay to do that. And, the fact that I've been married for the last 20 plus years, I'm able to say, I'm sorry, I apologize, and look at it in a different way. Maybe it's that. But some people just can't get past their pissing contest and who has a bigger D. All right? All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. All the love. Hit that like. We have 315 people here. It's free to do so.
In this case, I think Ashley Banfield either said she thinks John is innocent really early on, or knows him personally, or just enjoys being able to get him onto her show for interviews in exchange for ad revenue. So whether she's aware of it or not, she cherry picks information, disregards counter evidence, and does plenty of other mental gymnastics in order to see him that way. But because she doesn't feel the same way about Tommaso Cioni, she's able to look at him more logically and do the very things she was just shaming people for doing about John Ramsey to Tommaso. And here's the biggest irony of all when it comes to cognitive dissonance. Even though it might be impossible to detect in yourself, it's really easy to see in others. So Megan and Ashley point out some great examples of it when it comes to Sheriff Nanos and Savannah Guthrie.
Oh, wait until we get into the actual ish that this man's done, the damage that he's done to this case. All right. And I know you say never thought it was John Ramsey, but the son and Pat Ramsey note. Yeah, but the bottom line is nobody's ever been convicted. John Ramsey's going to die sooner or later, probably sooner than later. And then what do we have? Listen, for 6 years before he got sick, I was ordering food for him. Many times he would say, I didn't order food to order again. So I did. When I came to his home, I found out 4 women were, humble servant. What did I catch? The middle of? Let me know. I'm curious.
In this update. So without further ado, let's watch it and break it down as we go.
On the side of it wasn't a stalker of Savannah's or somebody who is obsessed with Savannah who took Nancy, you have the Sheriff Nanos statement this week that I know that he thinks he knows what the motivation is, and that he's only grown more certain since day one on what the motivation is. And oh, by the way,
I can't tell you,
the community is in danger. Wait.
Yeah.
What?
Wait.
So
we're
if
in
the
week
community's
6.
in danger, it's not somebody who's a stalker of Savannah in his mind.
Here's the quote. We believe we know why he was here. We believe we know why he was here.
But we're not going to tell you, and I'm not going to tell you anything. Now, Chico says it was one of the family, rest covered up. Duh, Ashley. Now, listen, here's the messed up part is even Savannah has cognitive dissonance. She does not want Tommaso or Annie, even if they're not connected, never charged for anything, for them to been having a game night or playing pool or doing some weird ritual that they do, talking about, damn it, as they're drinking their beers and whatever, damn it, I gotta go take care of my mom again, man. She's 84 and she could barely move and she's out there by herself and I'm stuck doing it, right? You gotta admit, people complain, people vent, people talk to other people, including friends, band members at the bar. Something went awry, and in my opinion, it's somebody in that tight-knit circle. And when they call it a Tucsonian or Tucsonin, whatever, yeah, because they are from there. Wow, if treats a case higher or status, resident, lower status, low income, homeless, have no hope. Yeah, I agree. Has anyone compared the part tattoo? No, we have not. But if you have a clip, that'd be awesome. Let's go.
And we have known since day one. Well, then why did you raid 2 random people's homes?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
Why did you tell everyone on day 2 there's no cause for alarm? Those are my words, but effectively the message in the news conference on February.
So guys, I hope that everybody here has just the basic common sense to understand that it was 2 or more people by the fact that they did at least 2 raids. Now they're talking about an empty house. The dots are connecting. We're not as dumb as Chris Nanos. We can see them. And if you can't see them, well, you better go look in the mirror at yourself, because it's all out there. They don't have to tell us exactly what they're doing, but we can read between the lines with how the investigation's going and say, oh, well, maybe you guys can't. I can. Yeah, people grumble. Damn it, I got to go home now and cut it short. Mom's thing went off or whatever. Her pacemaker did something weird. And I just bought this house right next to her. Damn it. I'm a few miles away, but I've been drinking. Well, I got to go over there now. Anyway, whatever. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that that's what happens, but it does happen, because I've seen so many people that are caretakers for their parents get mad about it real fast. All right, let's continue.
Second was, there's nothing to be worried about. There's no danger to the community. Well, if this week you're telling us lock your doors, and yes, he could strike again, then what the hell was that message on day 2?
Like it or not, Megan and Ashley are correct about Sheriff Nanos. His contradictions don't make sense unless you look at it through the angle of cognitive dissonance. Like I said earlier, we lie to ourselves in order to protect our worldview as well as our self-esteem. And personally, if you've seen my other videos about Sheriff Nanos, you'll know I think his self-esteem needs a lot of protection. Apparently for him, solving the case isn't quite good enough. He also needs us all to know that he knew the right answer since day 1. Specifically, I think.
So, guys, he's having a pissing contest, and he really wants to tell everybody, I have the biggest D. I don't care if you're FBI. I've been doing this for 40 years. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go pump some iron right now in my brand new $70,000 car. And then when I get home, I'll switch it to my $80,000 SUV. Because guess what? You guys can't do shit about it. Something's not right there. All right, something's not right. Yeah, teeny weeny, short. You know what I'm gonna say, right? Compensating for a small peepee.
He sowed the seeds of cognitive dissonance when he made this public statement. The Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. The Guthrie family are victims, plain and simple. Basically, after making a statement like that, kind of like Ashley Banfield saying she believes John Ramsey is innocent, it's really difficult to walk that back, because it would require publicly admitting that you were wrong in something you're supposed to be an expert in. And most people just cannot do that. And that's a huge problem when you're the one leading an investigation. Remember, he didn't just say accusing the family is wrong, he also said it's cruel. So whether he's even able to recognize it or not, if evidence presents itself suggesting the family might be guilty, his cognitive dissonance might kick in very hard, because even considering that evidence might mean he has to face the prospect of not only publicly saying that he was wrong.
Oh, and he's going to. He's said it here and there a bit, and he's even announced the fact that he has a recall. And what he said with his recall was, well, that's democracy for you. Everybody has a right to vote. And then he goes and drives out in his car and goes and works out. Now, humble servant, you're talking about there were a neighbor and a side neighbor, 4 women. Old people should not let them stay alone. Mobile home parks are to be blamed. They don't want to. I agree with all that. I don't think Nancy should have been out there by herself. If she did, there should have been higher security. But we don't know what they did or what they didn't. All right. Nanos is the biggest DJ. What's up, Emily and everybody else?
But also publicly saying by his own logic that he's cruel. But it actually gets even worse, because they're about to play a clip of him doing a recent interview. Listen to this and then we'll break it down.
There is something that's come out in the investigation that gives you a sense of motive here and why this person did this?
You know, I think it's come out from day one. I think from day one, we had some strong beliefs about what happened, and those beliefs haven't diminished.
Do you believe it was a burglary gone wrong?
I'm not going to get into those theories. We have our beliefs.
I think he's freaking just completely lying there, acting like he has it under control, because he really just doesn't know anything. And I've told you, every time he's had some kind of press conference or answered, his words just go in circles and they mean nothing. And then they contradict other statements that he's made. All right. You said, my first thought if somebody called me that, my elderly mother, Miss Church, will go to the garage to see if she fell, trying to get into her own car. Interesting.
Everybody else has theirs.
Nanos says he's intentionally withholding their theory and other details in the case, citing the integrity of the investigation.
Go ahead, Ashley.
Well, I just, I had to pick my jaw up off the floor when I saw
He
the
doesn't
day
even know
one
what to say,
comment.
yeah.
We believe we've known since day one. Because on day 2 and 3, I was talking to extraordinary source inside that group of folks that was working on that investigation. And they entirely had their focus towards the brother-in-law, whether it's right or wrong. By the way, I have taken so much shit online for people saying it's my theory. Not my theory.
Now, I do understand what she's saying, but she probably should be a little more careful, and I should be too, because I listened to her theories thinking, well, you know what? That's right. The closest people to this case who benefits the most, and the fact that they had Tommaso and Annie's car. And then you get this text message from their old buddy. So yeah, rightfully so. As long as you can say, hey, my source told me I'm wrong, move on, then we're good, right? Because I thought that too. That's Occam's razor. That's just the most basic. Now you guys tell me what's going to happen. Tell me if we go out another month, another 2 months, tell me who's going to pay the lights in the house, guys. Who now Savannah went back to New York, right? Who's going to pay the electric bill? Who's going to make sure there's Wi-Fi to keep the security on? Who's going to keep the house from getting dust? Who's going to keep it from squatters going into the house and moving in? Tell me, give me one answer in the comments. Who's going to watch over and take care of the bills of that house when Savannah is in New York?
have a different idea of what I think happened, and it is not that. What I am reporting on is what I heard their theory was, what they were doing on day 1 and 2 and 3. And it was not what Sheriff Nanos just said. They did all sorts of things on day 1, 2, and 3 that indicated they thought it was someone within the Guthrie family. They towed a car under warrant, for God's sake, and they shut down the search for Nancy, and they closed up shop at the crime scene, and then they told the whole neighborhood.
How come nobody's talking about that mat? Nobody's talking about that mat that's still sitting on the porch. There's 333 people, guys. That's a perfect time to say a prayer for Nancy Guthrie. At this moment, I believe, and I do believe her family believes, but in my opinion, that we're looking for we're looking for a body. We're doing a recovery for a body, but pray that she gets brought home to her family, please. All right, let's continue. Savannah will have to help. Why will Savannah have to help? You tell me why Savannah will have to help. All right. I don't think so. You think they'll sell it? Oh boy, imagine the speculation if they start selling the house. Yeah, the mat is useless now, but it wasn't in the beginning. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe somebody put something under it. Have you ever went to someone's house and put a key under the mat or left something under a mat? Just saying. All right. Thank you guys for the prayers. We need all prayers.
You're all safe. There's nothing to worry about here.
And then they went
over
into
to Nancy's
Tommaso's house.
Yes. So this guy, to tell us that he's known since day 1, that there's some terrible boogeyman out there, but on day 1, he's treating Tommaso like the boogeyman. And that is what the police were doing, not what Ashley was doing. I had a source telling me where that investigation was, and that is where it was.
And you have to be more careful, just like we'll have to be, just like we're going to talk about. You guys got to remember, FBI was looking at the sources of where the gun came from, and they went to multiple shops, and allegedly there's a leaked list out there, and not just from the one person that y'all are gonna be huffing and puffing about, because in a minute I'm gonna cite something that JLR, that was cited on JLR's on his dime. Remember, JLR, I know that he's in a boatload of trouble. I've seen the documents, but y'all, we were all watching him live when he was down there and covering it. All right. I see leaves on top of blood, not blood on top of leaves. Right. All right.
So this guy, it's sad.
Once again, I agree with Ashley Banfield. And remember, just because I don't agree with her about John Ramsey doesn't mean I have to disagree with her about everything. In this case, everything she said made perfect logical sense. On the first day of an investigation, it's really unbelievable that the sheriff would be able to rule out every family member. The far more likely explanation, he's insecure about how he's handled this case so far, so he wants to portray an image of him not only being able to solve it, but having already solved it ever since day one. And that solution coincidentally affirms everything he said about the family being innocent, even though I personally haven't seen any evidence at all that Tommaso and Annie are innocent.
Now, listen, I haven't seen anything that they're innocent. I believe 110% there are no named suspects publicly, but I do not believe 110% that the family is cleared. I'll tell you that. Now, Jody Lynn, listen, you don't even have to declare anybody deceased unless you're trying to get a hold of her life insurance. You don't have to do any of that. Now, she isn't declared deceased by law, so the guardian or the person or whatever they call them, yes, the state, the power of attorney, whoever was taking care of her, that was close, that was able to take her to the bank and put a check in or whatever it is that she does, that's Annie and Tommaso. I said from the first 30 seconds out of the gate, I said she never needs to be found. She never even needs to be deceased because that house is there and it's got to be paid. The bill's got to be paid. There's got to be money in it. They have access to the money, to the bills, to the car. They can say, I want to sell one of the cars. We don't need them. All of that. And that's going to happen eventually. If we don't find her body and it just keeps going, somebody's going to take over the house and her money. All right. Jay, what do you think about the 3 men that just moved in a couple days before Nancy was sick? I don't know. I don't think much about that, to be honest. I'm surprised they didn't look into it sooner. So I feel like they're kind of just I don't know. I don't think much about it.
I haven't even seen them deny being involved. In other words, to reiterate, if the leader of an investigation isn't able to look at it with clear eyes and instead has to look through it through a filter of ego, worldview, and the desire to be correct, it's very unlikely that the case will be solved. On that note, it's also not great when the one family member I think may be innocent, Savannah Guthrie, is showing cognitive dissonance about the most likely suspects, her sister and her husband, Tommaso. If this New York Post headline is true, that she's livid over the accusations against Tommaso, that's pretty revealing. After all, if she had enough proof to be convinced that he's innocent, she could always just show that to the public and shut down the speculation immediately, rather than getting livid about it. Or he could always just step up and sue his accusers for defamation. The fact that neither has happened and she's still livid is pretty revealing. To me, it simply suggests that Savannah is experiencing cognitive dissonance about the capacity of her sister and her husband of doing something truly evil to her mother. It's not something she wants to.
It's not something she's ever going to want to hear. Now, I want to tell you guys just a tiny little story. Yes, I saw the bagged evidence over the weekend coming out of the house. Let me tell you a tiny little story, and it starts with the name Lori, and it ends with the name Vallow. If you want to call her Lori Vallow, the cult mom, you want to call her Daybell, Lori Daybell, whatever you want to call her, Lori Daybell, Lori Vallow. Her kids were missing. Right? None of her family wanted to believe that she had done anything. Her mom was on her side. Her sister Summer was on her side. They were all telling the media, my sister is the best. She would never do that. She was a queen of blah, blah, blah. She loves her children. Guess what? She duped them all. As a matter of fact, I heard a jail call from Summer to Lori Vallow that says, you lied to me. I had your back. I stuck up for you and the mom and the brothers, right? So just a little story about Lori Vallow. If you remember, the family backed the shit out of her until guess what? They found 2 children buried in her new husband's backyard. All right. Just saying. Lori Dumbo, whatever you want to call, just a little story. 2 kids in the backyard to the man she just married, and the man that she just married took the life of his wife that he had been married to for over 20 years. Wow, God works in mysterious ways, right? I know. JLR's already in trouble, but I won't cover that unless it becomes a real true crime case. I don't like to do that to other creators. I don't want that done to me. So, all right, let's continue. Big problem is in the neighborhood secluded. Even I agree. I agree. Let's keep
I believe
going.
is true, which makes sense. So her brain, in order to protect her worldview, is ignoring it. In fact, it's lashing out at anyone who even suggests it. In other words, I think Savannah and Sheriff Nanos are experiencing the exact same cognitive dissonance about the family, the same way Ashley Banfield is experiencing cognitive dissonance about John Ramsey. All right, let's pick up where we left off because Ashley's about to give us her new theory of what happened in the case, and you'll see it is another sign of.
All right, good. Let's listen to the new theory, and then we're going to move on to the leaks from the gun shops. We're going to talk more about those weird, suspicious signs. All right, the gun shop leads are a big deal. All right, because I've always also thought about the people that I saw that may have been possibly Persian. There's a lot of things that we got coming up right after this, and then we're also going to talk about Sheriff Nanos' biggest mistakes and what the hell it did to this case.
Of cognitive dissonance.
Well, when you say that you have a different theory, what's your different theory?
Well, it's just sort of simple. I think so often in mystery, we tend to go to all sorts of lengths to imagine what happened. And generally speaking, the answers are pretty simple. I think this was just probably, a sick individual who had sick intentions against a vulnerable person. And it happens. And I know it's really hard to talk about it because this is a court.
I mean, that's ridiculous. I can see his face and I know mine and yours. I heard someone say that the other day. That's not a theory. That's just absolute ridiculousness backing up from your original theory. A sick individual that went in and did something sick to an old lady. What the hell does that even mean? What are you talking about? I disagree too. I absolutely disagree. That's not even a theory. Nanos can't even legally clear anyone. Exactly. And that's why I'm telling you they are not freaking cleared. All right. And wait till I get to the other stuff. I'm coming to all of it. So yeah, she's backtracking because she knows Savannah's livid. Of course. Of course. You guys do me a favor. Hit that like button. Drop a comment. I am going to give 5 memberships. If anyone wants to match me 1 for 1 or 2 for 1 or 5 memberships, that would help the channel greatly. We've been doing so awesome with giveaways. We gave out everything so far. All right. We gave a bag away last week, a ton of books, Foxy boxes. So that's how we give back. I'm going to gift you all some memberships right now. Make sure you hit the like and drop a comment so you can get one of those memberships. All right.
A public figure's mom. So we sort of feel like you said in the segment, we all feel like we kind of know her now because we've all seen the segments. But the truth is, sick people do sick things to vulnerable adults and children. And I think that Nancy might have been targeted by someone like that. And in every other case, we do. In every other case, we do talk about it. In this particular case, we have not.
You're right. It's probably because Savannah's famous and half the media knows her. I mean, NBC's own coverage has stayed, 20 feet away from anything.
I'm telling you, people are getting blinded by Savannah Guthrie. She is absolutely blinding them. Yeah, nano Democrat dealing with his rep and authorities. I absolutely believe because Savannah was so pissed off and her influence, and I'm telling you right now, I don't have access to her bank account, but I assure you that she takes care of Pima County and she donates. She has huge influence in that town. All right. And sometimes it's very blinding when you have a person like that. All right. Awesome. I'm glad you would. I'm about to gift them right now. All right. Let's go.
Involving Annie and Tommaso, which also seems irresponsible to me. I mean, they may have absolutely nothing to do with this, but they were the last ones to see her. Their house has been searched, we think repeatedly, but certainly for several hours in the evening, in the dark of night. They towed their car. That's absolutely fair game when you're reporting about the facts of this case. And not only has NBC steered clear of it, but Jake Tapper of CNN was out there shaming people for even discussing it. It's like, I'm sorry, you're friends with her, but that doesn't mean you skew your coverage of the case, whether it's on this issue or the issue of family members who could potentially have been involved.
Well, look, Jake whatever. He's not on this beat. Let me just put it that way. He doesn't know the arcane aspects of this story.
Besides the irony of them chastising Tapper for shaming them for accusing the family, which is exactly what Ashley Banfield was doing to people who accused the Ramseys, the irony of this clip is that her theory in this case also chimes with her theory in the JonBenet Ramsey case. She says the simple solution in both cases is just a deranged individual breaking in and taking advantage of a vulnerable person, which statistically just isn't the most likely scenario in either of the cases, especially when there's no evidence of a sex crime and
that's completely statistically only like maybe 10% of statistics would say that. Yes, I hope you guys got a membership. Definitely follow the money, but listen, it's not always typical to follow the money, because the money's right there in that house. We don't get Nancy home soon, or we don't find her body, then that house has to do something. Somebody's got to do something with that. And I sure as hell don't think Savannah's going to take time off of her work where she makes millions of dollars a year to go clean that up. I assure you. All right. I need to borrow someone's lucky charm. You're already a member.
nothing was stolen from the house. Again, in both cases, the most likely scenario is an inside job. If you want to see my full analysis of both cases, check out the end card. If you want more videos of this length or longer, please let me know your feedback in the comments and by liking and hitting subscribe. Until next time, stay true.
All right, Deception Detective, we love ya. I was happy that he came out with that today, only because it was a good time for me to address the Annie and Tommaso theory. And no matter what, I still keep coming back to that theory that they had the most to gain by it, and it's somebody in that circle that's related. They're telling us all but that. Savannah could have given me some money. I would have protected her mom. Anybody would have. But she wasn't protecting. She wasn't the one taking care of her mom. It was Annie and Tommaso. That is why I speculate they bought a house that they can't even afford, only 10 minutes from their mom to take care of her. Okay, because 84 years old, you've got to have somebody there to take her to the doctors. She has Uber and stuff, but you don't leave an 84-year-old woman out in the middle of the desert without anything or anybody. All right. One day it will happen. I know. Shambling in. Come on in, guys. This one's wild. And again, it's going to reference JLR because JLR has been at the scene many times. Okay. That doesn't mean that I'm supporting whatever the hell he did. And it doesn't mean I'm covering it either. We're talking about Nancy Guthrie. So if anybody starts asking about JLR or any of that, let's just not go there. Let's talk about this case.
Get this. Federal agents visited gun shops in the Tucson area and up in Scottsdale, showing photos and asking about specific last names linked to firearm purchases. This information comes from a tip shared by JLR Investigates, who cited an anonymous Scottsdale gun dealer as the source. The last names included Abnousi, Mobashar, Baramand, Bakhtiar, Abnous.
And I'm going to pause just for a second. Now, Carol, hey, if she had a second and a third on the house, why the hell not? You've been living there since 1975. Damn it. You've earned to take a second or a third or whatever else it is that you want. All right. You could do that. However, if she took out a second, she still needs somebody to cover that loan. They have to pay the second back. All right. But where's it coming from? It's coming from maybe Nancy's retiring. Maybe she retired and gets income, a pension. Maybe who knows? Whoever has access to that money knows. I don't have a Red Bull today. I've got this. I've got some blackberry tea. All right, let's continue. Yeah, so second, third, fourth, whatever she has, doesn't matter. It's all leading back.
And Shem Banyati. And some of those names come from the same family connections. So is that a coincidence, or could it mean something more? I'm Joseph Morris, and don't forget to like and subscribe. These surnames are described as having Persian or Iranian origins. One of those last names is associated with someone who once stayed in Nancy Guthrie's guest house.
And guys, when I say all of that, I say that to say it's an inside job connected to somebody or something in that family. Now, why law enforcement's taking this long to even get to that, to even say there was a house that was there and this and that. I mean, that's day one stuff. What are you guys doing here? What do you, aren't these the first things that we're supposed to know? If the family searched before law enforcement got there, why didn't they report multiple smash cameras in the house, blood in the bed, and the porch? They didn't do any of that. Or maybe we just didn't get the 911 call. How about that?
Specifically, 84-year-old Nancy had an Iranian healthcare worker living in her guest house who was fired a few years back, around 2023, according to JLR. The worker focused on physical and mental well-being using magnetic field technology. And this was presented as confirmed fact by JLR, though no name was released publicly. But Sleuths dug it up. So we'll get there. Now for some backstory.
Yeah, the fact that Sleuths dug it and he looked into it and I looked into it, I'm like, okay, we can drop the reference to anybody else that's continuing. You guys do what you want with who you want, who I don't support anything, any of the bad stuff. Now, after Perps grabbed weed, he looks like he's looking back. You're absolutely right, Debbie. He also looks like he's looking back to see if someone's coming, but he also kind of glances around the corner, in my opinion, as well. Like, dude, you're supposed to let me. And he literally started like this: a knock on the door, and his other hand reached for the door. Right, one hand knocking / covering and the other one reaching. Like, dude, you've been in there. You're supposed to open it, bro. I need to get in, dummy. Right? That's what it looks like to me. There's absolutely more than one and even two. Yes, this man has a staff.
The guest house itself has been a huge point of interest in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Reports from the scene noted that the bed there appeared disturbed when authorities first processed the property, implying someone may have stayed or been there shortly before or after the events. So to me, having a healthcare worker live at your property raises a few red flags. I don't know about you guys, because having someone with that level of prior access to the home could naturally raise questions about familiarity with the layout, routines, and even the security.
I mean, absolutely. If you look at some of the pictures that aren't in black and white and that are kind of gray, or even the ones on the left, I saw Persian. Now, that skin color also could be Hispanic. Also, Tommaso Cioni also has it. He's Italian and he has that brown type of skin. But I mean, we have nothing at this point. So that's why we're looking back at this. And we're looking at the guy that lived there. That'd be plausible. The people that did her pool, that'd be plausible. People that came to her house for parties, that would be plausible. Other family members and links, we're getting into that right now.
Set up, though no official connection to the disappearance has been confirmed as of yet. Adding even more intrigue to the Persian name angle, online sleuths digging into public records have alleged that a woman named Fatima Bahraman once shared an address with Nancy Guthrie's property, likely during the period the Iranian healthcare worker stayed in the guest house. As one researcher, Sarah Jones, posted on X, Fatima Bahraman at one time had same address as Nancy's address, probably from the time she lived in guest house. Her family members also have some last names in the list JLR was provided by the gun shop owner. I have confirmed through an internet search she had same address. And get this, family members connected to this individual also appeared to link to other surnames on the gun shop list.
And see, that's what I'm saying. There's so many connections. When you hear that this is a targeted attack, they're still saying that too. They're not saying this is random. The only people that are saying weird stuff are the people that are backpedaling, right? Most cases statistically are not random like that. They're not random in a way that somebody didn't case the place. Now we know that we think weeks before they were looking at how the hell to get in. And right, the porch guy was acting like, exactly, Joanne, he was acting like he was responding to someone already in the house. And he was also looking around the corner, maybe did you open that side? All right, what'd you say? Says things to get his name out there. Yeah, exactly. Take that with a grain of salt. And thank you, Debbie. Welcome to the crime crew. Thank you for subscribing.
Shared by JLR Investigates. These connections have been confirmed through independent internet searches of address histories, primarily in Arizona areas like Paradise Valley and Scottsdale. And to be clear, while this remains unverified by official sources and could be coincidental, it aligns with why the FBI pursued those specific names weeks ago. And overnight, a bizarre new twist emerged. Strange signs mentioning Nancy Guthrie and Carol Shimmick.
All right. And you guys got to admit, that's why I got into breaking it down before we even got into this portion, because this is just some, I mean, this case gets weirder by the day, doesn't it? It seems to get weirder by the day. What does that mean? Are they really wanting to throw the law enforcement and FBI off? Or are they trying to help? And why is everything got to be so public about this case? I think being public, guys, and I know it sounds funny, but I think the public part of it is really a red herring. They're literally just distracting. Well, Pima County Sheriff Nanos isn't hard to distract, but law enforcement and FBI is highly being distracted. And especially in the first 24 to 48 hours, when Nanos botched it and TMZ is putting out these ransom letters, everybody's looking that way when it's right there. They weren't looking right there. They're looking the other way because they put it out in the public. So they're looking in the public all while they're getting away with what they did. All right. Fired probably because magnetic field technology is allegedly deceptive. Well, I'm glad you're back, Mab. I'm glad you're back. Thank you. All right, let's continue. Those weird signs, they're evidence. I wonder how many people touched them before they got to them.
Were placed at various locations in the Catalina Foothills neighborhood.
So
a beat-up
weird.
truck, possibly white and blue, may have been involved in distributing them. YouTubers Dads Gone Live reported the signs to the FBI and local authorities. And according to updates from witnesses and a Pima County Sheriff deputy, the signs are being taken seriously.
They're evidence.
Detectives collected them for evidence testing.
Yep.
Now let's rewind to the key dates the family has highlighted. Savannah Guthrie renewed a public plea, specifically calling attention to the late evening of January 11th, along with January 31st and the early morning hours of February 1st. She urged the Tucson community to review any camera footage, journal notes, text messages, observations, or conversations that might hold significance in.
And again, this is the next plea, all right, to bring mom home. Foxy says, how do you know that they are Persian, Jay? Blue carpeting and gold curtain rods? Because I have some really good close friends that are Persian, and that's how. Otherwise, I wouldn't. All right. Every week, someone comes with a theory, tattoo, empty house. Exactly, Ben. Exactly. There's no transparency in this case, and when it is, it's very confusing. But it seems like many of the sleuths and the YouTubers are bringing in the real information. All right, they're bringing in the tips. They're bringing in, and as you can tell, this is once again Savannah asking the public for help. All right.
Retrospect. Savannah Guthrie said that there's no detail too small, and it may be the key. But here's the other key date that Savannah Guthrie did not mention in her plea: January 24th. Federal agents have separately zeroed in on that date as well, asking neighbors for any security camera footage or observations from January 24th. Investigators believe someone may have been checking out the property on these weekend nights, notably January 11th, January 24th, and the night of January 31st into February 1st, all fell on or around Sundays, which has experts pointed to a possible pattern of weekend activity in the weeks leading up to the disappearance. So Nancy Guthrie vanished from her Catalina Foothills home on the night of January 31st into February 1st, 2026.
Look at that. Now, if you watch that video again, guys, he literally is kind of looking around. He drops down like shit. He sees the light pick up. And then he's like, hey, buddy. And then after that, he tries to open the door and it doesn't come off. Now, earlier, they showed an example of how one of those things does come off. And I saw a close-up on that. Those things come off so easy, guys. And they were. After that, he ripped it off. I don't know at what point because we don't see it. but at one point the whole thing is kind of moved over to the right and they just ripped it out. It takes like a little piece of you could almost have like a tiny little screwdriver or a paper clip to get it out. All right, let's continue. But you see here, he looks like he's like knocking, and right here he's absolutely, now that I saw it, there's the doorknob down here. He's going for the doorknob, but the idiot in the back, if there was, didn't let him in.
She was expected to join a friend for church the next morning, but never arrived. Blood evidence was visible on the front step, and the doorbell camera captured footage of a masked figure approaching the door. The search has now stretched into its 8th week with no resolution. The gun store inquiries happened weeks ago. Agents carried faces and names to check for.
I don't understand how they haven't even got one person of interest that's able to say anything. And Andrea's thoughts, welcome to the crime crew. Says, hello, I'm here from Northern Vermont. Been following Nancy's case on DGL Gang. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming here. Let me see if I can get you. Why did Savannah and Cameron leave? I get a break, but you don't come back. Don't play it on TV for her return. Don't put out flyers. No vigils. Now, yeah, I get Savannah and Cameron 100%. I understand where they're coming from. And for some reason, I can't put them in that position of this. I don't think of it. I don't think of it that way, but I do. You got to admit, Annie and Tommaso, the people that should be leading this, and ultimately now that Savannah has gone back and she's going to work soon, shouldn't they be the people that have been pleading on TV, coming out, not hiding their faces? That's what I'm saying. But welcome to the crime crew. And guys, we here on the crime crew are more than happy to agree to disagree without being disrespectful to each other. I'm sure the FBI, including my nephew, is looking into it. Okay, talk to you later. I'll hang out and listen. Bye, Diana. All right. Thank ya. Thank ya. Hit that like button, guys. It's free to do so. We have 300 and some odd people here. Come on.
Purchases. More recently, agents returned to the neighborhood asking about construction workers, recent movers, and other local activity. So here's the latest development tying it all together even more closely. Federal agents are now focusing attention on a vacant home down the street from Nancy Guthrie's residence.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about that. Sometimes people are wanting to talk about stuff, and I'm like, I'm going to get to it, guys. I promise. I have a methodical way in which I do my episodes. That way I can answer your questions, etc. ISIS, so sad as it's been 2 months. They said 8 weeks, guys. If it's literally been almost 2 months, number one, I'm telling you, it's a body recovery. And number two, there are multiple people connected to this. As a matter of fact, I sent a video to my mods. I don't think they even watched it, but there was a robbery recently at a jewelry store. And I shit you not, was it 8 to 12 cars rolled up at the same time? They busted through the door and all together took all the stuff. I mean, they did it all together like that. That happens. And I know that that's what's happening in this case. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people out in the interwebs that we've already done search warrants for. All right. There wouldn't be any of those things that happen if they didn't think it were 2, 3, maybe even 4 people.
This comes from a New York Post report citing News Nation correspondent Brian Enton. The property was vacated by its residents before Nancy Guthrie disappeared on February 1st. Agents have been asking neighbors more questions about that situation, not saying it definitely ties in, but exploring it as a possible lead. For example, could a contractor working on that vacant house be responsible? Retired Pima County SWAT Commander Bob Krygier explained why this makes sense in these kinds of cases. He said vacant homes can serve as home bases or staging locations for suspects.
And that all makes sense, but why didn't they check that in the beginning? Wouldn't the very beginning have been able to tell them that? By now it's gone. You can go in there and they probably, who knows what. Right. And I don't know if she had a wheelchair. I know she had a walking stick or a cane. If anybody else knows, let me know. What's up, Kathy? Kathy's in the green. All right, let's continue.
Providing a cover story to be in the area at different times without drawing attention. He added a location like a vacant home out of the prying eye of the neighborhood could also be a location to set up surveillance equipment if anyone chose to do so. It could be easily stashed in a structure or on the property without anyone knowing. Brian Enton noted on a show that agents are specifically inquiring about the neighbor who moved out before the disappearance. This fits with the broader pattern. Investigators have been canvassing the Catalina Foothills neighborhood, reviewing local security footage from those exact weekend dates, and following up on tips about prior contacts. And
you know what's the weirdest thing right now, guys? Well, there's a lot of weird things. Here's the thing. We're talking about the case in totality, right? But we're also talking about those weird signs. Why is it that law enforcement doesn't have a ton of cameras watching that house and watching the area where they can just say, oh, there was a car that dropped it off. I can see the license plate. Why don't they have somebody on full security there? Or why don't they have cameras now to every street you go in, go out? I can't understand this. On my other account, Jay, you get extra like I can. Yeah, go ahead and send me the link. You said you had something you wanted me to take a look at. Christine, welcome. Not pizza.
Unusual activity. So adding to the ongoing forensic work, mixed DNA evidence collected from inside Nancy Guthrie's home is being sent to labs for further testing and separation. This comes from multiple updates, including a recent interview where Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos addressed the status directly. He emphasized that the investigation is not even close to a cold case, stating, we have some DNA that we think is still workable, and we have to work that. And we know the science, and we know we have some labs around this country who are really working diligently to get there with this. Earlier reports noted challenges with separating the mixed samples, meaning DNA from multiple people, which has complicated analysis and could take additional time. But Nanos stressed that experts
and it makes you wonder if the timing of this was like 10 years ago when she was making the chicken, all right, when she did the chicken, but she also did she made the beds and folded them. They did it on the show, and then they also brought it right into her house. I wonder if that's something that may have prompted it up. All right, what's the number of signatures? I don't have that in front of me right now. If anyone wants to pull it out, please do. I've got so many other things up on my screen right now. So I don't know, but I can get to it in a minute if you want. Let's continue because there's so much in this case.
Are actively pursuing it alongside thousands of hours of video footage still under review. So in my opinion, the pieces that are starting to fit together are pointing toward a motive rooted in something personal and long simmering rather than a random act. That Iranian healthcare worker who lived in the guest house and was fired around 2023 had intimate access to Nancy's daily life, her routines, her vulnerabilities, even the layout of the property, and maybe even knew that the Ring doorbell camera wasn't working. So being let go from a role that involved helping with someone's physical and mental well-being could easily build resentment over time, especially if the firing felt unfair or left financial or emotional scars for her.
Right. And that can apply to anybody that was there. That could apply to anyone in the family that just couldn't wait. All right. When you signed it, it was 188. All right. I'll get to it. Why did they take exactly? Listen, Joanne, this was not some coincidence or some accident that was leaked out there about Tommaso and Annie. That just doesn't happen in that way. And whoever Ashley Banfield's source is or was says a lot about who the last person that was allegedly to see them alive. We don't even know at this point if she made it home in the way that Tommaso said, because we can't see the cameras. Why can't we see these damn cameras? And why? Hey, Sherlock Homegirl, good to see you, my friend. Hit that like button. Why is the sheriff now? We're 8 weeks in, and Sheriff Nanos is retracting his ask for the January 11th. He says, the surveillance image that I asked you on January 11th is not the right date. It's a later date, but why? This has happened how many times now? Those were the most crucial points of time for 24 to 48 hours. You wish Savannah and Cameron would find a way to get some help. Now, I think the help that they could get is to go boots on the ground at this point. Let the Cajun Navy come out. Let anybody come out and do a boots on the ground search. They're going to find a body somewhere. Okay. I don't think the sophistication of this crime is sophisticated at all. All right. For the sheriff to just turn everything over in the FBI. I agree. He said that as well. I don't know why the 911 call's not released. There's not a lot that's been released at all in this case.
And her entire family. Now, public records searches show that a woman tied to Barrahman, surname Fatima Barrahman, allegedly shared Nancy's address during roughly that same period, and family connections appear to link to other names on the FBI's gun shop list, like Abanusi and Mobashar. So for me, I don't know about you, but that's no small coincidence. It explains why federal agents were quickly checking those exact surnames for gun purchases weeks ago. It suggests the investigation had a very specific thread to pull from early on. Then layer in the Sunday night pattern, January 11th, January 24th, and the night of the disappearance itself, plus the vacant house down the street that agents are now asking detailed questions about. A nearby empty property would.
Now, he's the nearby empty property could or could not be another thing just put into the investigation. We do want to bring her home, so say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie's body is found. I mean, if she's alive, it's miraculous that somebody's been caretaking for free, because remember, nobody's gotten any money in this. Nobody's gotten anything. There's nothing that was missing, nothing that was stolen, no cash. They didn't take anything. Whoever did this thus far, has gained nothing. All right? They've gained nothing. Yeah, he of course doesn't want, because he wants to have the biggest dick on the planet. All right? That's his problem, is his ego right now. And welcome Golden Hen to the Crime Crew official. Thank you, Golden Hen. Welcome in. I hope you come back every day, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Cali time, 7 p.m. Eastern. All right. Thank you. I would love to see the Uber cam. I know. I'm going to look at that Uber thing real quick.
Be ideal for someone who knew the area to stage surveillance or plan without drawing immediate suspicion. It all circles back to the familiarity with the neighborhood and the home itself. So when you combine prior access from the guest house worker, a possible grudge from the firing, overlapping family names in public records, a pattern of weekend activity, and a potential staging spot right nearby, it starts to look like investigators are closing in on someone who wasn't a stranger at all.
See?
Someone who had a reason to return after years away.
No, this is no stranger, guys. This is no stranger. And if there's a stranger that, let's say the stranger that came to the front door was part of this inside crew, maybe never had met Nancy before, but was like, hey, listen up, guys. I'm here. Let me in, mofo. What are you doing? Man, it's already on me. I better get something to cover it, and then I'll take care of it. We didn't see the camera after he did this and he did this. That was it. We didn't see it get pulled off or smashed or any of this. I know. I would love to. Krista, how you doing? Super great show tonight. Thank you, Jay. You're very, very welcome. I believe PCS department is following YouTubers, and that's why they're saying things we all figured out. Prayers for Nancy to be brought home. Ransom gone wrong due to Nancy not surviving abductors. I don't think it's a ransom gone wrong. That's the problem. Can I tell you what it is? No, but I don't think it's a ransom gone wrong. I really can't. They definitely cased her place before, right? I don't know. I don't think it was a ransom gone wrong. I really don't. Robbery gone wrong? Probably not. Maybe they thought she had, a big fat stack of cash, and they were in there for 41 minutes trying to get her PIN number, trying to get into her safe. We don't know, but I don't think this was meant to be a kidnapping for Bitcoin. I really don't.
If this motive traces back to that firing and those alleged address connections, the next breakthrough could finally name who walked up to that door. I believe we're getting closer, and the sheriff's confidence in the DNA gives real hope. I want to know what you guys think, because if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe and leave a comment, because I try to read every single one. And if you made it this far in my video, you can refer to me as Joey, because thank you so much for watching all the way through. And I'll know if you say my nickname Joey. So I appreciate you guys watching my video, and I really do hope that we find Nancy soon so that we can have some closure and the family can get some closure as well. So please, if you have any information, please say 1-800-CALL FBI is right here. And please stay safe out there. And I love you guys all. Thank you so much.
All right, so Joseph Morris, go sign up to him. I'm going to put some of the things right now, all of the mistakes, Sheriff Nanos' biggest mistakes and how it affected this. And I'm still trying to find I thought I bookmarked this, but I'll find it right now and put it back in chat to recall Sheriff Nanos. There's so much, guys, and there's even more. So let's start this. I don't want to waste too much time. Thank you so much. Hey, girl, as per usual, you're the best in breaking it down. Let's find her, J. Scott and followers. Thanks for the welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you. And that's what we want. That's all we want. Golden, thank you so much. You guys, please welcome Golden Hen to the official Crime Crew member. All right, back in the day, boots on the ground has been avoided. Exactly. And why, Sander? Why? You want to know why? I'll tell you why right now. Because Sheriff Nanos was the person in charge and still is leading this investigation. And here are the mistakes that he's made and still making. I'm going to find that petition for you.
Arguments that have been made about why he has screwed up the Guthrie investigation.
Two big things, and it really stems from the beginning. Didn't call the FBI in soon enough. That he should have realized that they couldn't handle it on their own, and that he waited a couple of days to call the FBI in, and that he cleared the crime scene. But it kind of goes deeper than that. You know, a lot of people in his department don't like him. He, from what I'm told, gutted the detective unit and the homicide unit.
Welcome to the show. So later in the show, I'm going to...
All right, I hope you guys know who Dan Abrams is. I put it in the chat. We're going to talk about this. Abduction. I don't think it was abduction either. I don't think that they... I really don't think that they went over there to go kill her. I don't. You guys are... I don't know, we mods, y'all are crazy right now. Yeah, his big ego. That should just say ego, number one. But I got more for you. I'm looking for the Uber stuff as well. And then I'm looking at a package. It's weird. We missed it a while back. But on day 26, right? 25 days later, did you guys realize, I'm sure you did, that a package came to Nancy's house 25 days after she went missing? Don't you wonder what that package was and who the hell ordered it? FloJo TV, what's up? How you doing? Come on in. Hit that like button. Yeah, very strong. Very strong. All right, let's continue. If not a ransom or theft, that leaves a family or hired worker. Yeah, but why is nobody talking about that? Let's continue. I got to get through this, but I want to still get to some other key pieces before I dismiss the class, right? Class dismissed. Not yet.
We're talking about a under the radar ruling that has come out of New Jersey, which could literally mean that all of the prosecutions, including of sex offenders and like other really bad people, could end up becoming null and void. And this is because of the administration's insistence on putting in exactly who they want as the New Jersey U.S. attorney. And it is a mess. And it is a big deal.
Wait,
and I'll be talking about it later in the show. I also may talk about James Comey being subpoenaed.
Okay, but let's get
The
back.
investigation.
What happened there, buddy?
Most recent.
Okay, here we go. Sorry.
Let me start with this.
Yeah, we're gonna start with this.
Last night.
Okay.
And he's also a Democrat. The sheriff is a Democrat. And he addressed the concerns about the sheriff.
I think that's part of it. Look, I have had some concerns with leadership of the department for some time, and in particular, what I'm hearing most recently is that there's now been some reporting in a local paper here in Phoenix with the Arizona Republic that the sheriff misrepresented his work history, withheld a lot of disciplinary history that he had when he worked for El Paso Police Department before coming to Pima County to even get a job, and that kind of omission is a very serious thing to have when you're the head of a law enforcement agency like.
Now, does anybody think this is going to turn into a situation like it did in Florida with the, and my names, unless I'm looking in front of them, the head sheriff was arrested for trafficking and laundering money, and his wife was also laundering money? I really hope that they look into this. The fact that he misrepresented his resume says a lot. Secondly, he'll tell us. Nanos has made the statement that he should have called FBI in at the 4th hour when they couldn't do anything and they're running into walls. They got to hour 4. They really should have called in FBI immediately. He's embarrassing, but I think there's going to be more. And the longer no one talks, the longer YouTubers. Exactly. 110%. That's what happens to cases, though. The less transparent they are and the less information, then you got sleuths out there going crazy. But really, we just want Nancy to be brought home. Jojo DGP, welcome to the Crime Crew official. Thank you. And Coffee and Doug Studio, shout out to you. Yes, send me your theory. I'd love to hear about it.
Well, it's also a very serious thing to have when everyone is looking for your head, right? This is what happens when people start to pile on. They start to look at resumes. I'm not saying it's not a big deal. I'm just saying that
no, it's a big deal. Though.
This guy is now under fire from a lot of directions. All right. Now, remember last week, and we talked about this. This is number 4. He was interviewed on NBC, and he starts to sort of say what he thinks happened here, but couches it in kind of vague terms. Let's listen.
Do you think that this suspect could strike again, whoever did this?
Now, listen, I just want you guys to know everything Nanos has said, in my opinion, has been garbage. It's either been contradictory or he just goes around it. And guys, that drives me nuts. What's up, Kat? It drives me nuts. If I was to say, hey, Kat, where are you from? Where do you live? And instead of saying Ohio, you start talking, well, I went to the grocery store last night and I almost ran the red light. Okay, Kat, but where are you from? Like, whereabouts? You don't have to tell me the exact town or your address. Where are you from? Well, yeah, there's this Safeway up there on Branham, and yeah, no shit, it's Ohio, but he doesn't answer the questions like that. He goes around everything you ask him. It drives me nuts. Oh my goodness. Jenna, member for 12 months. Time does fly. Yeah, Nano's ego. Listen to him, okay? I just wanted to point that out to you because it's always just going in circles and contradictory. Go in hard, says you're doing an amazing job to go over what's been said on video. You can see the body language, and Nanos is an absolute joke. I agree, and thank you. All right, let's continue. Listen to him. It's babble. That's why I haven't even played any, like, oh, let's listen to this new update from Sheriff Nanos. No, I don't, because it's just trash. And then he goes back and he says, no, that wasn't it. Never mind. He's an idiot.
Well, absolutely. We believe we know why he did this, and we believe that it was targeted, but we're not 100% sure of that. And so it'd be silly to tell people, yeah, don't worry about it. You're not his target. Don't think for a minute that because it happened to the Guthrie family, you're safe. No, keep your wits about you.
There is also now this recall effort.
Did anyone get anything out of that message? Because I'm pretty sure everybody was safe, and then now they're not. It's targeted, but now it's not. Maybe it's the freaking mafia. Maybe it's people from Persia. Maybe Trump. Maybe it's the people that Trump's bombing. Maybe they came back. That's how ridiculous it is. It's absolutely ridiculous. They put a hold on. I hope they never air that show. They need to kick this guy out for good. Victoria, good to see you in chat. Thanks for coming.
And you have this Republican congressional candidate who is now kind of using this as a big political issue. But where does this leave us when it comes to the investigation? Well, there is no better person to ask that question to than Brian Entin, who is the senior national correspondent for News Nation, who has.
And guys, before we get into this, I just want you to know that Emily Pike's body has been found. I'll probably cover that tomorrow, but we covered the Emily Pike case over here, missing and indigenous, right? Do you remember Emily Pike from the reservation? I believe she was decapitated, but they didn't find her whole body. Well, Emily Pike's body has now been found. All right. So if you guys haven't heard about Emily Pike or any of that, go back to my playlist later on and watch Emily Pike show episode 1 so that we can get into the next one. Hey, Carissa. I wish so much, Nancy. Me too. They need it badly. Tracy, how was the sleep? Oh my goodness. I wasn't even going to say any of that. Well, the sleepover went really well, but baby Guilty came home sick as a dog. And I'm actually glad that Mrs. Guilty stayed with her. It was family members. So Mrs. Guilty ended up staying the night too. But when they got home, baby Guilty couldn't hold anything down. She had a fever and she was throwing up since 2:00 in the morning on Sunday. So obviously no school today. Thank you for asking. Say a prayer that baby Guilty and Mrs. Guilty get better fast. She had fun, but she came home so sick. All right. Taking up Savannah. Not a good look, sis. He taking up for Savannah. Not at a good look, sis family. All right, let's continue.
Been on this case since day one, and he joins us now. Brian, thanks for coming back. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan.
All right, so let's start with issue 1 of this recall. Is this
all right, guys? Real quick, this is and it's in the description. This is Dan Abrams. That's Dan Abrams, and that's Brian Entin. Also, link in my description in case you want to find them.
This thing real? I mean, does it look like he actually might get recalled?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure it's real because there's a lot of people who don't like him in Pima County. He won the last election by only roughly 400 votes. So it was very, very close already. And yeah,
I bet you he cheated those 400 votes as well. He probably did something to botch them. I'm going to get that recall in a second here.
It's a real thing. And basically, he could either retire or there could be another special election if the recall goes through. I'm told there's immense pressure for him to just retire on his own. I know there's going to be a county meeting next week where I believe the supervisors there, the county supervisors are going to talk to him. And I know that behind the scenes, there's already been a pressure for him to retire. But, he's an elected sheriff. I mean, it's a powerful position anywhere, especially in Arizona. So they can't fire him. They can't just push him out.
When is his term up?
Another 3 years, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's got a ways. He's got a ways to go. He responded to the effort by saying, we're aware of the recall and it's the right of the people. We'll always honor the will of the people. And that's what makes democracy. How does this recall work? They have to get a certain number of signatures.
Again,
they get a certain number of signatures.
Again, guys, word salad. I don't know why I can't find that link. Do any of the mods have that link? Everybody's like, okay, listen, I gave you guys the terms last time as well. All right, you got to have 120,000 signatures in a certain amount of days. I know. Baby Guilty got sick. I hate that. 120,000 signatures in 120 days. And I thought I'd put the link up, but I'd already signed it. So any of the mods happen to have that link so we can see how many, anybody have the link so we can see how many? If not, I'll continue looking. I just can't interact with you guys while I'm looking. That's a problem.
I forget exactly how many, but it seems doable. And then they file them, and then it's pretty straightforward.
And then there would be Let's listen to, this is Gutierrez. This is the congressional candidate he's a Republican who's running what I think most people view as a longer shot campaign, but this seems a popular issue now to go after the sheriff there. Let's play number 6. This is congressional candidate Daniel Gutierrez talking about.
All right, just quickly, they need the first 500 to move to the next part of it. So did you guys get my link? I just put the link down. It's change.org/p/recall Sheriff Nanos. They actually don't have that many signatures, guys. It's there's 256 out of the 500. And I don't know if they have a second one, but that just doesn't seem like it's a lot. Now, I know I told you guys in the last episode, but if you weren't here, did you guys realize that when he came into office and got elected, he promised to bring the crime rate down? And over his time in the office, the crime rates have risen by over 15% during his tenure. That's a stark contrast to the promises of reduced crime that he made during the campaign that he barely won. All right. He barely won the damn campaign and his crime has gone up. And he's an idiot. I'm sorry. In my opinion, he's an idiot. Okay. I got it. You guys, I think only the mods can drop links. So thanks. Thank you, Holly. You got it. All right. Let's continue.
The effort.
Police in Pima County had a unanimous vote of no confidence in Sheriff Nanos last week. And it's also come to light that the sheriff had to resign from the El Paso Police Department after packing up a laundry list of infractions. What do you think the final straw was for those officers?
The final straw was the false resume. That was the one that caused them to take a vote. To me, I've been watching Nanos for a while because I've been traveling the southern border. And as you know, Pima County borders along the border.
Yes,
and for 4 years, drugs had poured across that border by drug runners and backpacks. Mr. Chilton, he's a rancher along that border, has filmed it for 4 years. And he's got images of thousands of drug runners coming across the border, the exact path they take, the exact time of day, and he's given it to law enforcement, and there has been one arrest.
So this is about more than, of course, the Nancy Guthrie case. This is just
I mean, come on. And we read this. The straw that broke the camel's back was the fact that he lied on his resume. And again, I wonder, is this going to be I know, highly contagious. There a lot of people. Yeah, there was a bunch of kids around for the sleepover. It sucks. Do you have to live in? No, you do not have to live in Pima County to sign that. It's in general. All right. No, y'all could sign it. Everybody needs to sign it. We put it out there. We put it out there last week. It needs to go around. I pinned it to my comments last week. But here's the thing, Carol, where do you think he gets his money? How in the hell? I hope they look into him. I really do, because that sheriff in Florida, the way they found the money laundering, millions of dollars laundered, I'm going to bet he's doing something shady as well. Either that or he's taking contributions. People are contributing to his fund to sway him on what they want him to do. Something's not right about it.
The straw that broke the camel's back, essentially.
Yeah. And Nancy Guthrie was the final thing. And I've been out to Nancy Guthrie's. It's a shame that crime has risen to this point in our community.
Yes.
And I can't blame just Nanos. We have failed leadership in Pima County.
All right. So as I looked this up in terms of what do you need for a recall,
I know, but
signatures required in Arizona, you need 25% of all votes cast at the last election for all candidates for office held by that elected official. So it would mean that you'd need 25% of the number of votes that were cast in the sheriff's election to be able to.
I want you guys to realize something. This could take quite some time. We broke this down when it originally came out. And here's the thing. Yeah, corruption's everywhere. You're absolutely right, Ben. Here's the thing. If he was to get recalled right now, it might not be such a good thing for this particular case. I think what they should do right now is keep the signatures going. They said this could take 6 months to a year to 2 years. Who knows? That was what they originally said about it. So I'm not trying to deter you from sign it, but I think they need to put somebody in charge, somebody in the FBI in charge above him, and hand over a lot of the stuff. Make him hand over the stuff that he's been hiding, that he's been not giving to them. They should go get the damn DNA sample and take it to Quantico instead of that private lab. Because why did he send it to a private lab? Do you think he sent it to a private lab to sway what the outcome is of the DNA? I mean, what would make him not do that if we know he's corrupt. We know he's making a ton of money somewhere. We know he barely won the elections. We know that he doesn't tell us anything. We know that he contradicts himself, and we know that they want him kicked out of office. All right. Something's dirty going on. They really need to look closer. I don't know if it's a good idea to take him out in the middle, because it might mess up even worse. MP Dougherty, welcome. Hello from WPV, Florida. WPB, Florida. Welcome. All right, let's continue. That happens, guys. I mean, law enforcement doesn't make a lot of money. They're not driving $70,000 cars with McMansions and SUVs unless they have alternative sources. I assure you.
Get a recall, and that's what they're trying to do right now. You have 120 days to collect the signatures, 60 days to complete signature verification, et cetera. And so these are all the requirements. I mean, Brian Enton, as far as you know, is the sheriff concerned about this?
I don't really get that sense. I mean, his statement didn't really surprise me, because when I interviewed him and asked him about criticism, and this was...
Now, you don't have to on this petition. I'm not sure where it says that. Sign this petition to support the recall of Sheriff Nanos. So maybe there is some kind of ultimate petition or ultimate thing that they're going to do, but I'm looking at it and it says nothing about needing to be for 25% of the votes cast in the last election are required. Yeah, they're not. They're doing the now when they're doing another election. Yeah, you got to be in the county, but with the petition, signing the recall petition is different. It doesn't mean because we get to the recall that they're going to ever kick him out at all. They still have to do their due diligence in their area. All right. So let's not be deterred from signing it. Please sign, please share.
Before the recall effort, he kind of gave me the same line of just like, well, I was elected and this is a democracy. And if people aren't happy, then they wouldn't have elected me and they can vote me out if they don't like me. So he kind of goes back to that. But I'll tell you, like, from the moment I was on the ground there in Tucson, there was a sense that just a lot of people don't like the sheriff, and that this had been an issue for a long time, long before Nancy Guthrie. And I mean, the vote of no confidence, unions a lot of times in other stories I've covered always kind of have an issue with the boss, but this just felt different. I mean, even during the election, I had never heard of this before, and there were pictures. The deputies were outside the sheriff's office with signs for his opponent, and they had masks on so that they couldn't be identified, so that Nanos wouldn't come after them. Granted, I'm sure he could figure out who they were, but it's really contentious there.
You see that shows influence and money, if that's the case. All right, and skip. This is a republic, right? I mean. The fact that what he's saying there, that's scary. That means there's too much power in one person's hands. M to the J Dog. What's up? Good to see you. Hit that like button. Don't forget. Callie says, I take care of my mom every night. I check doors, everything. I'm sorry to say. Who in the heck was watching over? Please, I'm far from rich, but please, they should have been more informed. 84. Now listen, you're absolutely right. They should have. We don't know what the case is. We don't understand why they didn't pay for the footage to stay. We don't know. What if it got turned off accidentally? What if Annie and Tommaso are in charge of paying the bills and they forgot to pay that one? Guys, right? All right, let's continue. Not too many people in Tucson. Well, not with that kind of corruption. If people are afraid to vote against him, there's corruption going on here.
With Nanos.
So what are the the strongest arguments, and I'm not asking you to endorse them, I'm just asking you to tell us, what are the strongest arguments that have been made about why he has screwed up the Guthrie investigation?
Two big things, and it really stems from the beginning, that he didn't call the FBI in soon enough, that he should have realized that that they couldn't handle it on their own, and that he waited a couple of days to call the FBI in, and that he cleared the crime scene. That's when we were able to go up and get the blood video. That he didn't keep it all locked down. I mean, that he just did a quick search and then opened things back up and didn't call the FBI until later. But it kind of goes deeper than that.
It definitely goes deeper than that. I do wonder who put into place these warrants. Was it the FBI with Nanos? Who signed off ultimately, or who started ripping people's houses apart based on the color of their skin and their eyes? I think there was more than that, but still, majority of Arizona officials are dirty, in my opinion. I think everybody, yeah. They should have sent it to Quantico, where it would have come back faster and they would have had a better chance, like Koberger. All right. So you're a bully mod, I guess. No, but who's being rude? Someone's probably just teasing. No bullying here. Nobody's bullying. Sorry, bird of paradise. Let's not. Please, if anybody feels they're being rude or whatever, we're not. That's not how we do. All right. I don't know what happened, but let's chill. We're talking about Nancy Guthrie case update. No suspects. Families cleared. And now we think we're looking for a body recovery. I apologize, bird of paradise. Whatever happened, we're just being silly. All right. Let's continue.
So a lot of people in his department don't like him. And so he, from what I'm told, gutted the detective unit and the homicide unit. So the average experience that detectives in that unit have is about 3 years. And then the guys who were there for 15 or 20 who supported the other candidate, who was also someone within the sheriff's office, by the way. So it was really heated. He demoted them all or moved them out. Like there were guys I met who, were detectives for 20 years who are now like on desk duty.
Now, I wonder what another thing. Hey, Lucky, good to see you. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Hi, beautiful. His ego gets in the way of everything. I agree. There's got to be something else going on, in my opinion. The fact that they're talking about all of this and the way the case has been spiraling and going, it almost makes you wonder. Now, I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist and say, was he involved to get the $2 million? Maybe he has a friend of a friend, whatever. But his ego is absolutely getting in the way of this. And I don't think that pulling him out right now would do anything good. And P. Daughtry says, I know you're all awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're all good. I just don't want anyone being upset or taking it wrong, because we don't bully people around here. Sometimes we joke, and if you take it the wrong way, then my apologies. And you're fine, Kimberly. Hey, we're all behaved around here, and we're all adults. We can all agree to freaking disagree. What we don't disagree on, I think, is that Nanos made the biggest mistakes in the very beginning, and it's terrible because even Brian Koberger case last week, do you remember Nancy? I think it was Friday. Nancy Grace was comparing this case to Brian Koberger, and they sent those to the FBI lab, came back, they found Brian Koberger's dad, and essentially found him. Now we're waiting on this mixed DNA. For what? For the people to get lost? For people to scatter? For what? I don't get it.
Answering the phone for, your bike is lost, and that's their job now. He's like punishing people that way. So it's just fact. He never really fought us against this when we reported it. The detective unit is very, very young.
Right. Let me play another piece of sound. This is again from Pima County Supervisor Matt Hines. This is number 2 on News Nation last night, being asked if this recall is too extreme.
Look, and I can't speak for the recall effort. I'm not involved, and I don't represent them at all. But what I am detecting from my own office and from my own role as a supervisor, hearing a lot of frustration, not just about this Guthrie investigation, but it's an accumulation of frustrations with the sheriff and with his leadership. So I understand why there is a group that's interested in doing this, and that's their right. That is their right to recall any of us. Sounds like he might be frustrated with my leadership too, because he said that was a blanket statement there that I heard. But it's truly, in my view, the concerning situation here is having the head of our largest law enforcement agency in Pima County be willing to potentially lie under oath in a deposition and to omit.
Now, here's another thing, guys, and this may be with his budget cuts, the way he's got, well, number one, him benching people, him putting really good detectives out on the bench to sit at a desk, that's a problem. That means that ultimately he's saying, I'm taking the power. I want to do this myself. I don't want you guys involved. That's number one. Number two, what do you think? Budget cuts? Because he's also cutting his staff. Why is he cutting his staff when this guy is driving around a freaking, and if I get it wrong, I don't know if it was a Porsche or whatever. He's driving the $70,000 car while he's laying people off. Is that so he can get more money? So he can pay his McMansion and all this stuff? Why bench people and take away their job when you're overcompensated? You're well, unless he won the lotto, that guy's making way too much money to be benching people. Christine, all the mods and Jay do an amazing job. Thank you for the hard work you guys do and the coverage. You're very welcome. And whoever, good night, Kathy. If you're leaving, yeah, the Corvette. They said that Corvette was $70,000, and he's flossing. He, instead of being in the office covering this case, do like we're doing, like it's driving me nuts. Yeah, okay, the new Corvette. I'm not into Corvette, so I forget. There's certain cars I love. That it's like, that's like midlife crisis for me. All right, but here's the thing. Now he's not. Those are his vehicles. Those are absolutely his vehicles, and he's absolutely been at the gym more than he's been in the office trying to solve this case. And yeah, follow the money. That's what I'm saying. Where's that going to lead us to here?
Disciplinary history in his own work history. That is not confidence inspiring for the people that he's leading or for anyone in the community.
Brian Enton, when I hear a fellow Democrat who is a county supervisor there in Pima County not remotely defending the sheriff against a recall effort, you got to believe that he's in trouble.
Yeah, I don't think this is a partisan issue. In fact, there's another guy there that a lot of people want to be the sheriff who is also a Democrat. So it doesn't feel Democrat-Republican to me. And yeah, I mean, you heard what the supervisor said. A lot of it comes down to, you know, him never saying that he was sort of forced out of the El Paso Police Department decades ago, that he had I think he was suspended 8 times there. But what they're zeroing in on when you heard him say about lying in a deposition, you know, when he's been on the record before, he never acknowledged what really happened in El Paso. And so that's the issue they're really trying to nail him on.
Guys, they're going to find something bigger than this. And you're right. India Shim says, what a mess. I'm out. You know, it's definitely a mess. And I hope that you learned something today about the failure in what's coming next. There is a new detail in the timeline, right? Possible new suspects. And there's new evidence that came from those signs, which, by the way, I see now someone did get the footage. As a matter of fact, we were looking at the Dad's Gone Live. Those pictures came from Dad's Gone Live, who's been live streaming the Nancy Guthrie case like JLR. Okay. And they say they got the footage with the license plate of the vehicle that dropped those signs off. What's the deal? I don't know. We're trying to get through. Love your show. Got to get some sleep. Bye, guys. Heck, I drive a 99 model car and work for the country in my state. That's what I'm saying, Juanita. He needs to be looked at for sure. Exactly. And we keep coming back to Tommaso, but they didn't clear her. I'm going to tell you right now, he's not cleared. They did say everybody passed the polygraph. I was looking that up today. I was going to show you guys, but there's also some tricky things that come with that. All right. There's a lot going on. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate you. All right.
Now.
All right, let me ask you a final question about the investigation. Is this still ongoing? I mean, is there still, are they still actively investigating, or is it more passively in the sense of just hoping something's going to come in?
No, it's active. And I will say, to give the sheriff some credit, it seems a lot more organized now. They set up this task force that the FBI seems to be more in control of. And so there's a handful of detectives from the sheriff's office that are full-time on the task force, and then a ton of FBI agents, and they all actually meet at the Tucson FBI office. That's their headquarters, and they're all on it full-time. I mean, 24/7. So it's still active for sure. And I mean, I talk to a bunch of neighbors in the neighborhood almost every day. They're still out in the neighborhood constantly. I don't get the sense that there's some pressing lead that's come in that, we're going to see a huge development in the next couple of days or weeks. But my sense is still that it will be solved just because of the resources from the FBI. I know they're still waiting on the DNA. And I just think it'll either be DNA that finally comes through with genetic genealogy, or there'll just be some kind of lucky break. Some kind of lucky break will pop up. Someone will call in a tip. I think that's going to happen.
I do too. And I think what's going to happen is it's going to be somebody that has, that is in that circle that's going to break. When you have one person, nobody tells. Two, right? Dead men tell no tells. Two or more, somebody's usually going to break. Now, they did run the license plate. They haven't released any of that, Suzanne. I'm looking at it right now behind the scenes, and they sure did. And not only that, it's really weird. Those freaking signs, I don't understand them. I showed you a piece of the sign, but not the entirety of it. And I broke down some of it, but it's just the weirdest. All I could call it is weird signs. Now, they have footage. Dad's gone live. They do have footage, and they are going to share that with FBI. Also, 6 hours ago, Pima County chopper just landed at the airport to FBI Phoenix. So we got FBI going over there with some certain, they must have an agenda. I know there's some kind of, there's something that they're doing. There's some coordination. This clip is off Nancy Grace, Make Me Believe More. Nancy Guthrie does anyone know if she had a wheelchair? Because people are saying that. Does anyone know about that? I didn't even look into him. All right, let's continue. Let's finish this so I can get to that one.
I really do.
And for Brian Etten to say that, who's been covering this from day one, I think it's a big statement. You think that that's in the relatively near future?
I do. I the people I wouldn't, I came home after 44 days, so I wouldn't have come home if I thought it was going to be like any day now, but I do think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be like years from now. They're just working too hard, and the FBI is too involved now. It's shifted away from the sheriff's office to more of an FBI investigation. And I was looking at stats yesterday. For an abduction or a kidnapping like this to go unsolved by the FBI it's almost never happened. I think there's like one from the 60s. So I just think statistically, and I think it's going to be solved. That's what my gut tells me.
I do too. I think it's going to be solved. I don't know if they're going to find the body. They probably will, guys. I really do think that a break is coming soon. And I believe that Nancy Guthrie is closer than we think. All right. That's what I want you to know. The family didn't collect anything until Nancy's found. Yeah. Nobody's gotten anything. All right. Let's continue. I got a couple more things to share with you guys.
Yeah, and that's what the people on the ground, I guess, are telling you too.
Yeah. But again, at the same time, I don't think at this point there's, someone in mind. I don't think they're that close.
Right. Fascinating. Brian Etten, one of the best, who knows his stuff, senior national correspondent, News Nation. Thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Dan.
All right, guys. I know we've been here for a while, and I've been bombarding you guys.
Okay, so
hold on. My bad. I've been bombarding you guys with information, but let me show you a few more things. And then there's a little bit of a brand new episode of Nancy Grace that came out. So I don't know if you guys are wanting to watch that with me. Baby and Mrs. Guilty are both sick, and I don't really, I'm trying not to get sick, but let me show you a couple things. So this was the vacant property that they were talking about, and I just don't see much about it. I mean, feds close in on vacant property after mystery man caught on film, and they say Nancy Guthrie update. They do not have anything to this link, but they say the guy's eyes appeared to match those of the masked men. And I'm not so sure. What do you guys think about that? I just kind of wanted to show you. Yeah, definitely it's all about greed for sure. I got baby guilty and Mrs. Guilty. Mrs. Guilty's the wife, baby guilty's the kid. We don't like to use new real names around here because it gets us in trouble. Okay, so has anybody else seen this? I know somebody was asking me earlier about the house, about the vacant house and the people, and now the guy that looks like he could have been right at the same vacant of the renovation. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't see it. There's a possibility. They say the guy's eyes appeared to match. Big, kind of feminine looking with, straight eyebrows. He was caught prowling around and vandalizing a vacant house under the renovation, 4 doors down from Nancy's house. He's repositioned the floodlights to point away. Does anyone find any validity to any of that? They do. I mean, they're not naming him. They're just saying. I just don't think so. I'm still looking at. Yeah, there's no tattoos there. But you guys got to remember. You got to remember that there's, in my opinion, guys, there's more than one person in this. I cannot tell you enough that I believe, and many others, that there are more than one person or people involved. So, I mean, could that be him? He doesn't even have tattoos. So, guess not. But what about the guy that was in the house? What about, I mean, I looked to the extent of what happens if someone was already in the house. What would happen then? All right. What would happen if they were already inside? What would that mean? Anybody? All right, let's continue. I also let me make sure we're on the right one. Back out of there. And then, yeah, there's a bunch of fake stuff too. So be careful on that. This is like haunting footage, and we've already seen all that. Daphne's case files is legit, but I'm just curious if anybody knows if she was ever in a wheelchair. Would there be a wheelchair or something similar? Maybe that was the tracks in the driveway. Let's take a look.
Fox News gives us a better look than just a few drops at the very beginning. You're seeing right now why a cast mold was not possible with the walkway, but we're seeing a longer stretch, more information about the blood trail. What do you see, Joe Scott Morgan?
I'm not going to get into this.
Well, I see what I would interpret as passive blood deposition. And what that means is we're talking about.
It's only 1 minute and 8 seconds. We got 30 more seconds. Let's just listen to this real quick. I did watch it. What he's saying is that he's not. Listen to what he's saying. I'm not even going to tell you. We got like 30 more seconds left in this. I watched the whole dang thing.
Gravitational blood drop where it falls to the earth. You don't have any projected blood. Okay. So with projected blood, you'll see these little tails that come off of the actual blood droplet itself as it's flying through the air, and it gives you an idea of direction. Nancy, this is something, these blood droplets that you're seeing here are something that probably have fallen from a reasonable height, maybe in the 3-foot range, and they're dropping straight down and impacting the ground. Do you see this area right here that we're looking at right now with this walkway?
Hold on. I know it's there, but I know what you guys are getting at because there was a new video that came out and it's questioning about Tommaso again. All right. I thought a female with fake painted on mustaches. Yeah, you guys. Okay. So what is it? What is it? Monk's behavior. I was going to show this to you, Monk's intrigue. I was going to show this to you today, and I was like, man, I already did this. It's the weirdest thing because I literally put together a video like this, 2 weeks ago? So now you guys are talking about it. Now you guys are talking about maybe they faked it, maybe there's female, maybe we saw it after the forensics, but we brought it up last week, and now we're on the second month. Has anyone seen this? Has anyone seen the son-in-law and the comparison? Do you guys remember me showing the side-by-side comparison of him walking? All right, I'm not gonna put the whole video on, but let me show this. Let me pull this down. I have one on my YouTube that does this, except it has a little bit different. This came from 3 days ago. Monk's intrigue. Very unfortunate gate of son-in-law. You guys don't remember playing this on my channel? All right, we're gonna compare this guy to Tommaso Cioni, and this is way after I already had done this 2 weeks ago. All right, so every time I come here, we always end up doubling back to the damn band members and the circle that's connected to this guy. All right, let's take a look.
So we never got an interview. We never even got a story from somebody that knew him, maybe just to give us an inkling of what he is like in real life. So
check this out.
We're left to wonder. And oh wells, right? Let's see if we can be fruitful elsewhere.
Hey.
And so last night I decided to watch all of the crotch holster guys videos from that Nest camera, the images, whatnot. I mean, the footage only equates to roughly 40 seconds. And I watched that thing over and over again because honestly, we cannot let the FBI.
And me too. Like, I didn't even notice that he was trying to open that damn doorknob until I saw it 100 times. And trust me, this case has been consuming of myself and I'm sure others. I know Carly was on this like I was, like every little thing when it started. It's been 8 weeks and I just can't stop looking at it, even if I'm doing another one. Right now, listen, it's almost like he knocked on the door. He was like, hey, dude, let me in. Remember, there's a gate. They had that black security gate. So if you tapped on that, you're going to be able to hear that. And he goes down here to grab the doorknob, which to me indicates there's another person already in the house.
Magical footage that they just pulled out of the heavens go to waste. So literally, I sat there for approximately 2 hours watching the same 40 seconds of video on loop, pausing it at certain sections, slowing it down, until I noticed something about the crotch holster guy's walk. He appears to have a slight hitch to his step, which I always attributed to cautious night walking. Then I noticed his feet does this funny thing where it juts outwardly once his left leg.
All right, so if you go on to my shorts, you'll actually see I did a side-by-side comparison, but I didn't make a whole video about it. This is called Monk's Intrigue, right? And it's always in my, I'm sure that I put it in there, but if not, I'll drop it. In my description, I always put the videos that I'm using. I wasn't going to use this one today because I thought I was going to run out of time, but y'all are still here, so check it out.
Is extended right here. Now watch his right leg right here. Now, before you kill me for wasting your time, let me show you.
We did this already,
photo
Bobby.
of the perp standing upright in his natural position, I guess I could say. Now you could see his feet face outwardly still. So when his legs are straight, his feet point out. I looked this up, and the medical term is called out-toeing. So boring. So we're going to call it what it is. The man has duck feet. I want you guys to notice this as well. The slight bowing of his legs. Now, some people have straight legs. Some people have knock knees. Our perp appears to have, I mean, if only slightly, bow legs. Now, I'm going to warn you. you might get the chills.
Yeah, we did. I did not go over this because this video was never created until 3 days ago. I did go over this theory on my own, and if you go to my shorts, you'll absolutely see this. And it got a lot of views, by the way. Carrie's the one that sent it over to me, so thank you, Carrie. All right, let's continue. Just because every time I do an episode with you guys, it circles back to the same kind of people in the same group. I don't know why.
When I show you this, because you know who else has a very similar posture? Tommaso Cioni. He also has duck feet. But monks, come on. The perp looks a lot thicker. Well, first, I want to say that's what she said. And second, it was between 30 to 40 degrees at night.
And this is why I like him, because he just says what he wants, right? That's what she said. Size has nothing to do with it. That's what she said. Let's
Guys, go. I can almost guarantee you that the perp was wearing double layers. I've been in that cold of weather, even colder. And I would do that double layer, which I will say I'm speaking from firsthand experience, right? Now, because of this, it would also help puff up, the perp a little bit. A fortunate or by design disguise for his body, okay? Now, don't ask me how, but sometimes we remember the most obscure
So I did a full video. Jersey, I'm glad you're here. Hit that like button. Jersey, I put out clips of my videos. Since my videos sometimes are 3 or 4 hours long, I put clips to them so people can find my channel and then find my live. So the entire video with Mab is back on Friday. All right. Sometimes it does that. I use AI because I can't do it all. I can't do all the work. Remember, I work full time as well. I have a job, like 8 hours a day job. And so that's what I do. But the whole video is up from Friday. All right, let's continue.
Useless information. So for some reason, I recall somebody saying early on, it was either Banfield, maybe it was Megan Kelly. But when the perp turned around on the Nest camera footage, some lady said, now look at his mud butt. Now, I admit my childish humor thought that was funny. Maybe that's why I remembered it. But I also remember thinking from the very beginning, upon seeing, the crotch holster guy, that he had double layers on. In the beginning, that was not even a question for me. Right. Double layered everything. I used to do it myself.
It was funny that he called it mud butt. And I'm out in California, so I've never seen anybody do that. I mean, maybe I guess if someone goes skiing or something, right? Not a gate, a security screen. That's what I meant. A security screen door. We have one of those here too. Okay. There's a gate on the door. It's a security screen and they got the lines down it. So it looks like a gate. I literally have that exact same black gated screen door. All right. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Anyway, let's continue. Thank you.
And I too would have mud butt because I had a whole pair of sweats underneath whatever pants I was wearing. And it was fascinating that this relatively random thought, in the past actually feels kind of important right now. Just look at his pants. I bet there's a pair of sweats underneath those nondescript loose pants. I know. It's not solid evidence of any sort, and you're still not buying it. Well,
it's not solid evidence, but it's certainly compelling. Think about the Richard Allen case, the bridge guy. Do you think, besides the fact that Richard Allen confessed how many times? Over 50? That bridge guy video didn't have impact on the jury?
Well, luckily for both of us, I ain't selling it, because if I had to convince you of anything, then the evidence was just not good enough. Okay. However, while you're at the monk's shop of working theories, I'd like to show you something before you leave. Yes. So in those 2 hours plus of me burning my eyes over the crotch holster guy, my curiosity started to, veer towards other possible.
and it veered towards our thoughts as well. I'm pleasantly surprised that he did this, and I'm happy because people are not listening to Sheriff Nanos saying they're cleared, but not really. You know what I mean? Nobody's listening to that. We know that's not what mud butt means, but it's funny that he says that. Mud butt is way different than that, but I've never heard him say that. I thought it was funny. Complete different use of term.
Videos that I could go over. And so I went over, the Savannah Guthrie, Annie Guthrie, and Tommaso's walk to Nancy's memorial, which was in front of her house, gifted by the community and YouTubers alike. I also noticed something about Tommaso's way of walking as well. He too has a slight hitch in his left leg, just before the leg motions forward.
And guys, in my opinion, this scene was 110%, in my opinion, staged AF. In my professional opinion, it's staged as full. You know what I'm saying? Very, very staged in the way that she almost couldn't hold herself up, and Tommaso's in the middle, and they're making sure that we know that Tommaso is so close to Savannah, and they're so close. They're such a close-knit family. Don't look at them. They didn't do anything. All right. Absolutely staged AF. All right, let's continue.
As his leg goes forward, his foot comes up and juts outwardly. Each and every step. I mean, that's just a part of the way he walks, right? As part of his gait, as all the retired FBI agents tell us, he too has a duck walk. What do you think would happen if I were to put Tommaso and the perp's walk side by side for you? Okay, so have your wallet ready because you might like this readjusted working theory.
Look at that shit. I'm telling you, man, it's hard to unsee.
Now, of course, walking like a duck doesn't mean the man's guilty by any stretch, right? This has to be something that the FBI...
But you also heard those fake moaning cries in the background. I mean, I know you guys were probably like, Jay, what is that moaning going on there? That was like a fake type of cry almost, all right? I don't even want to repeat it because it didn't sound like a cry. It sounds like she's moaning.
Has already looked into, right? But you know what I'm learning about this case? I'm learning a lot about the FBI. That the FBI is just cool. They are the cool kids. Just like Tommaso, they got on those shades. And the FBI, they just simply share nothing with the public. However, unlike Nanos, the FBI will never, ever clear anyone until they are done with their investigation, once the case closes. So how can these two men appear to have a very similar walk and even share the same stance with a very similar bow leg?
And guys, it just bothers me so much that whoever did that, whoever was the one with it all tucked in, the mask and tucked all the way up to the neck, was either hiding neck tattoos like I have, or trying to hide the tattoos and the beard. I've never seen anyone wear a mask like that where it was all the way down and then you got like this, well, except for Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th because he didn't have his hockey mask yet. But just saying, right? Nobody's cleared. I want you to realize that. That's a good point. That's what I'm trying to let people know in this. No suspect, family's cleared? No, not really. All right.
Goodness. I mean, is God running out of ideas on how to create Italian men? I mean, not to say the perp is Italian. If you remember in a recent video, I mentioned that while I was doing face overlays, I realized that it just never really felt right or correct. Because as I was doing it, I realized that I basically have to search for a picture that was taken of that person from about, midsection level, the right angle from where that Nest camera was placed. And you would have to take that picture with a wide angle lens. And that is just not happening, right? The closer that you get to this lens.
Yeah, we don't even know we'd have to measure it or go based on what they say. All right. I know nobody huddles like that, man. I mean, it was just the moaning and the crying and the way you agree FBI knows or suspects they're just waiting to make a move. I hope so. But where is Nancy Guthrie? We need to bring her home, guys.
The more distortion that you have, everything just gets a little bit rounder. Even if the eyes fit, even if the mouth fits,
true.
it never felt right. So
Right.
after a while, I just stopped looking at overlays, okay? But a gate, however, is very compelling. I mean, have we not heard former FBI agent after former FBI agents talk about the perps gate since the Nest camera footage dropped? So I'm pretty sure that it's important if they think it's important. So how does this affect our working Tommaso theory? Okay, so I will say.
But again, please remember that I believe, and I think law enforcement believes now, that there are a suspect or suspects that were possibly already in the house or waiting in the car, or maybe there were even 3. I remember Jim on the bike found pants behind Annie and Tommaso's house not long ago in the wash. Interesting. Popcorn jurors, what's up?
That his absence from any part of the media might hold a clue. So let's start by saying that Savannah loves her sister and Tommaso is her sister's husband. So I 100% support Savannah for backing her brother-in-law, and I expect her to keep doing so. So
now it's hard to get to that. I'm telling you, it's hard when you're close, when you got this, again, cognitive dissonance, to save herself from thinking that. She wants to make sure my sister and brother-in-law would never do that. Hence, look at us walking and crying and staging, all of that. All right. But that's not her job to say who did this. But she does have power and influence over who says what. All right. She definitely has power over Nanos. We know that now.
That being said, in my opinion, the Brian Enton video where Savannah, Annie, and Tommaso are visiting their mom's house, right? In this updated working theory, we are going to include this event. And because we feel that Tommaso has been avoiding the media, this has to be an event that Tommaso did not want to be a part of. However, I feel Tommaso was caught, in that situation when it happens to do with family, right? You kind of got to go, because I can't imagine Savannah wanting to go to this memorial alone without her sister, right? She definitely wanted Annie there, right? Her beloved sister. And she definitely wanted her beloved brother-in-law there, Tommaso, because we also have to imagine the alternative and how bad that would look if Savannah Guthrie visited her mom's little memorial.
I mean, the moment she stands up, he's like right there making sure that that PR is good. He's holding on tight, doesn't want, I don't know. It just looks, it's so fabricated. And both of them only have one pair of jeans on, and they look like they both have mud butt. Just saying, that could just be not having one at all, too. Just be like, but anyhow, it just looks very staged. Absolutely, not just murders, kidnappings, rapings, all of that. The statistics are high on things that are somebody connected to the family, a person or in the inner circle. Very, very high. Yeah, flat butt, whatever you want to call it.
Memorial there that was left by the community had to just stand there alone, mourning her mother, right? That wouldn't look very good for Annie and Tommaso. So yeah, they kind of had to go. Now, I'm sure we've all heard the saying that the eyes are the windows to the soul. So seeing Savannah take off her sunglasses was what we all expected. I'll leave that at that.
Not one time do you see them separate from each other. It's like he's pulling her real close. Savannah's pulling him in. And then when Savannah leans down, Savannah actually takes her knees and bends all the way down, unlike him that has that stiff leg. But every second that he's in the view of the camera, he's covering something with somebody and he's making sure they're right there. I mean, I could see if this was a funeral, if this were a funeral and you're walking up to the open casket, and that's terrible, but this is not that. And I just can't understand. Popcorn jurors say, hey, Serber. All right, what's telling is Cameron is nowhere around Tommaso. Yeah, that's interesting.
Now, I've been formulating a theory about a possibility of why he doesn't want to be on camera, but it's still a theory that I need to work on it. It might never even see the light of day. But the picture that you're looking at right here is why this spark of ideas came about. I would also bet that you guys can never guess what this theory is. But if you do, and I see it in the comment section, I would be so surprised. Now, before you guys go and protect the ones that you love, you guys should give the Maura Murray case a try, because I've been working hard on it, and I think you guys would enjoy it. If you enjoy my coverage of Nancy Guthrie with the Maura Murray case, I mean,
and we do. You guys all should go sub up to this man. All right, it's Monks. I forget it, and then I say it again. It's Monk's Intrigue, which already dropped in chat. All right, so we love his theories. They're just theories, right? It's not like we're putting this is the new details of the timeline. Before we leave, I want you to make sure that you see the new details. These are facts. These are facts that are coming in and put together. That is a theory, just a theory and something to look at and say, why can't I unsee that? All right.
Tonight, for the first time, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos explaining the significance of January 11th, a date 3 weeks prior to Nancy Guthrie's abduction that neighbors say investigators have specifically been asking about during their search, and that the Guthrie family also noted as a key day.
What's up, Michelle Johnson? Good to see you. Babylon, Deborah Lopez, Missy, Suzanne, Cooking with Mr. Good Looking Alex. You guys, thank you all for being here. Hit that like button and make sure you've got all your notifications on Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's pretty easy, I hope. All right, let's figure out these new details, and class is dismissed.
In a new statement shared over the weekend, the sheriff tells NBC News the date initially came from Google, the owner of Nest, which has been helping retrieve images from Nancy's doorbell camera. He says the company initially told investigators that this surveillance image of the suspect, where unlike in the others, he does not appear to be wearing a backpack, was taken on that day. But Nanos says Google later took that back and said they actually could not definitively peg the photo to January 11th or any specific day. He says it's for that reason he has maintained that it's still unclear if the suspect visited Nancy's home prior to the...
It's unclear because he's an idiot, in my opinion, and they need to slowly move him out of that position, in my opinion, all right? He's an idiot. He never says anything and then backs himself up with it. He says something that's half-cocked, makes no sense, and then he comes back and corrects himself with something that also doesn't make sense. Go away. You guys sign that petition. I don't know how helpful it will be, but if the next case like this happens and this guy's in charge, well, you see, he goes to basketball games, he's got a funeral, and it's real important to make sure you get your gym time in instead of working at the desk following up on leads. All right, so I put the link again down there. Sign it, please. All right, last detail, new details.
Kidnapping on February 1st.
He may have, and we're still looking into that. I just can't say with any clarity that, oh, yes, on this day, this time, he was there.
NBC News has reached out to Google, but not heard back. The FBI has also not commented on the timeline. It's now been 51 days since Nancy disappeared. In that new statement, Savannah and her family saying in part, "We desperately ask this community for renewed attention to our mom's case. No detail is too small. It may be the key. We miss our mom with every breath, and we cannot be in peace until she is home." Liz Kreutz, NBC News.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News.
All right, guys, and that concludes Nancy Guthrie update. No name suspect. Family's not really cleared, and in my opinion, they're looking for a body recovery, I think, within this next week, right? Today's only, what day are we on? Only Monday? I think by the end of this week, some more big key pieces of evidence are going to come out. I really do. I really don't think that this is some dead, cold case. I think there are actually a lot of leads, and Nanos should get at his desk instead of at the gym and be working on the leads or hand his stuff over to FBI. Golden Hen, if the perp was watching the house as reported, why wouldn't he have gone while she was out of the house? It happened after Tommaso dropped her off. Coincidence? I think not. There are no coincidences in true crime, in my opinion, and that's why it's such a odd case because they wanted her. I'm telling you, they needed her to be home for whatever. We don't know. Did she have a big safe built into her closet? And people thought she had a bunch of money. When I say people, maybe the person in the guest house always saw this vault and thought there was money in it. And maybe she opened it and there wasn't anything. Maybe she said, you know what, I'm really don't have money. You can have my PIN number, but I only have, $500 until my next, whatever. We don't know. Something they needed her for, but I don't think that it was a kidnapping gone wrong. All right. Nobody's gotten anything. And we all forgot about the ransom. What happened to those damn ransoms? Wouldn't be the first time a family member, and Liz Viega, it's never going to be the first time because statistically it's always a family member or someone close in the inner circle. Not always, but statistics are high. All right. And guys, go over. Mab's doing a show when? You're doing a show at 8:00 tonight. In an hour and 12 minutes, Mab is doing a show, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern. Is that correct, Mab? I'm trying to plug you here, buddy, and you're talking about something else. Anyway, all right, guys, on that note, we need to bring Nancy Guthrie home, say a prayer. Keep your eyes open, see what happens with this. This seems very staged, and we're back to Nancy Guthrie needing to be brought home. All right, you guys go do your thing. Check out Mr. Mab Investigates. Wolfpack, you're very late, but I'm glad you're here. Go check out Mab Investigates. He's going to do a live show in an hour and 10 minutes, I believe. Anyhow, go on. Get out of here. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Happy Monday, guys. Say a prayer that the Guilty family, number one, I don't get sick. And number two, baby Guilty and Mrs. Guilty get better fast. Thanks, Wolfpack, for stopping by. And everybody else, hit that like button, subscribe, and hype my videos if you can. Mwah. Good night, everybody. See you later.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?